Quest high-speed internet. Get blazing fast speeds that won't burn up your wallet. By E470, it's quick, easy, and available to anyone. Test drive it today. By the Ford Fusion, it's the 2010 Motor Trend Car of the Year. Ford Fusion, drive one. And by Grainger, with over 900,000 products for the ones who get it done. We are set to go at Coors Field. First pitch brought to you by Domino's Pizza. And Aaron Cook gets a comeback off the bat of Shane Victorino. That's a good start. Text keyword pizza followed by a space and your name to 95323 to receive your Domino's special offer and to be entered to win a pizza party for 15. One weekly winner will be chosen. Game time temperature is 39.7 degrees. I'm not making that up. I was just told that downstairs. So it's a tick, George, beneath 40 degrees, and it's May the 12th.
Well, you know, the best part about this, there's not a lot of wind here at the ballpark. So once you get loosened up as a player and you start to move around, obviously things become very easy to play the game. The hard part's for a pitcher keeping your hands warm enough to feel a grip on the baseball.
1-0 on Placido Polanco, hitting out of the 2-hole for the Phillies. And that's a good hard sinker, and it slaps off his foot and goes foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. Aaron Cook, as George mentioned during our open, has thrown the ball very well here. He's been, in fairness, inconsistent so far in the first 6 weeks of the season, but that's not unusual for Aaron.
Not for Aaron. For whatever reason, he just struggles to get going early. I know it's a mystery to Jim Tracy, Bob Apodaca to figure it out of why he's pitched so well at home. 1-0, 240 in 15 innings, only 9 hits yet out on the road. 0-3 with an 884 earned run average.
Hard shot and pass, Melvin Mora into right field. That goes a base hit. And Polanco reaches. Let's take a look at the Southwest lineup this afternoon for Charlie Manuel's club. Chase Utley naturally will be in the 3-hole. They roll out the same lineup every day, and so would you if you were their manager. Ryan Howard, Jason Worth, Raul Ibanez, Carlos Ruiz in the top 3 in hitting in the National League. Wilson Valdez will bat 8th, and Roy Halladay will pitch in bat 9th. Here's Utley. 31-year-old, signed a long-term deal not all that long ago in Philadelphia. The offseason extension of Ryan Howard, trying to do what the Rockies have done, keep their core together for as long as possible.
Utley's one of those guys that has given Aaron Cook fits. 381 average, 1 home run, 11 RBIs, and 21 at-bats. It's not just Aaron Cook. He gives a lot of pitchers fits.
He's one of the, what would you say, George, top 10, 12 players in the game?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, RBIs, the ability to steal bases, everything else. Here's a shot to right and hot.
Polanco will stop at second base, and there are 2 on with 1 out. Tough chance for Mora, George, and he's more of a third baseman. But one, I'm sure, in a perfect world, he'd love to have come up with.
Sure he would. He'd love to have come up with the first base hit by Polanco, but he didn't come up with it. We'll look at the scouting report right now. 86.91 on Aaron Kirk. You see the curved slider. I think big emphasis today will be on the fastball and the changeup, trying to offset these good fastball hitting Philadelphia Phillies.
So here's Ryan Howard stepping up. Howard in his career, 6 for 17. A home run and 3 RBIs against Cook. Well, you want to get to the dugout quickly when you know you're facing Roy Halladay.
Well, you don't want to
there's not a margin for error.
No, you don't want to give up runs either. I mean, you don't want to get in a situation where you're down 2-0 starting out in the first inning because it again, you got Halladay on the mound, 140 earned run average, 6-1. Settled in very well in the National League.
Howard 1 for 4 on Monday night. He did have an RBI. He was also hit by a pitch. Started the rally in the top of the 9th inning. Corpus was ahead of him 0-2 and tried to come in on Howard. He came too far in.
Yeah, like Manny said, Manuel said, I've had 4 days off. I felt over-strong, trying to throw too hard.
Turned this one, and Mora struggles with it, and he gets just one. And that's the second time in this series that Mora has failed to turn a double play. One time around the bag on a feed, and that time on a routine ground ball where he fumbled with it and couldn't initiate the double play turn.
Tailor-made for Darren Cook and the Rockies. Couple of hops right at Mora and just let it ride up to the hands. Maybe concentration, focus, hop, whatever you want to call it, but it's a double play that should have happened.
And now Jason Worth will step up, and Worth is hitting .348. He is driven in 26. That leads the Philadelphia Phillies.
Now the at-bat changes a little bit for him. Base hit scores a guy versus a fly ball type at-bat where you know when a runner's on third base, infield's back and only one out. There's a lot of ways for him to score. Now it's got to come via the base hit.
Monday was the ugliest game the Rockies had played all year. They basically handed Philadelphia 4 runs, and this one has not started well. Hopefully Cook can pick up Melvin Mora. Strike one as we take a look at the gloves this afternoon. Seth Smith in left, Carlos Gonzalez in center, Brad Hoffman right, Stewart and Barmes left side, Mora and Helton on the right side, and Olivo behind the plate.
The Rockies are 13-6 when they score first in a ball game, but if the opposition happens to put one across first, 2-11.
Fouled off, it's 0-2.
Late swings on a good moving fastball by Cook. And that's just what you're looking to see with Aaron on the mound. He has not had great success. 1-5 with a 6+ earned run average in starts versus Philadelphia.
Last 10 games against the Rockies, Worth's hitting .421 with 4 homers, 14 driven in. And the strikeout of Worth by Aaron Cook, that was enormous, and Philadelphia will leave 2 in scoring position. Aaron Cook picking up Melvin Mora. And when we come back, it'll be Roy Halladay out of Arvada West at Coors Field. Twice the MVP of the state, playing for Arvada West. Take a look at Carlos Gonzalez and the lineup for the Rockies, brought to you by Southwest.com. Seth Smith will follow Cargo, then Melvin Mora in the 3-hole. Todd Helton will hit behind Brad Hoff in the 5 spot. Ian Stewart, Miguel Olivo, Clint Barmes, and Cook. Mora has hit over 300 in his career against Halladay, 310 to be exact, in more than 70 at-bats. And the first pitch of the ball game, not surprisingly, is in there for a strike. This guy fills up the strike zone.
You're going to have to swing the bat to beat him. He's not going to get behind in counts typically. He has the ability to do it with 3 pitches.
with Toronto for all of those years until coming to Philadelphia. And he has made whatever adjustment was necessary because he's 6-1 in the National League with a 1.45 ERA.
Well, just
three complete games.
7 walks in 56 innings.
This is a tad bit outside. And he is a power pitcher, yes, but he's not a guy that throws 95, 96.
You miss because of the movement on the fastball, and the movement of the breaking ball, and the placement of the pitch. It's all about location.
That was that good slider of his, George, and he changes speeds with that.
79 to 86 miles an hour with his slider. I mean, and he'll turn it into a cutter and shatter your bat. What he wants is quick outs. He wants to get through innings in a hurry.
He pitches downhill. He's a big man. He's 6'6". It's amazing. The Rockies have not faced him since 2002, and that ball game was in Toronto. Todd Helton, the only member of the current Rockies other than Giambi and Mora to have faced him. And this ball pulled in the hole, a base hit. Well, Carlos Gonzalez had a difficult and emotional couple of days, but he has not lost that great swing of his.
Well, no, and a lot of times you come back from an emotional period like this, and it motivates you as a player to play well for the person you're grieving for and honoring. And Gonzalez with a big base hit. Let's look at the scouting report right now on Roy Halladay. It's pretty special. He's going to come at you with a fastball, 93 to 95. Right now he's set 91, 92 in this cold temperature. A cutter, he'll run into as high as 94. The curveball, the changeup. Complete pitcher, 154 wins, 77 losses. Second among active pitchers with winning percentage behind Santana. It's Halladay, Hudson, Oswalt, and Pettit in that order, 1 through 5.
He's a 6-time All-Star. I think the most important thing in this day and age of going to the bullpen in the 6th inning so frequently, this guy likes to finish, as George said, what he started. Seth Smith at the plate as Cargo gets a look. Smith on Monday night, a single, double, and triple. And after the ball game, he said, I feel like I'm getting closer in terms of feeling real comfortable
nice way
to play.
Nice way to feel close, huh, when you start ripping the ball the way he did.
But he gives an honest appraisal. I mean, he's not trying to be facetious, like he's Ted Williams. But yeah, he had a nice ball game. But he hasn't felt great at the plate yet, and hitters go through those more periods where you don't feel great.
Well, there's a lot of times, think about it, the great ones, 6.5 to 7 times they fail every time they go through 10 at bats.
Curveball misses. It's 2 balls and a strike on Smith. Smith, a career .333 average here at Coors Field. Gonzalez doesn't go. Line drive, base hit. Got over the head of Wilson Valdez. So welcome home, Roy Halladay. 2 knocks to begin your day.
Well, you might wonder, it's been a while since he's pitched at altitude. The cool temperatures, dry air. Will he still have the same sinker? Pitched down in the strike zone on the 4th strike zone. Good job of hitting by Seth Smith. He just dropped the hands on it, tried to lift it as much as possible to get it to the outfield, and he did just that.
So Melvin Mora steps up, and we told you that Mora has had success against Roy Halladay. 71 at bat, 22 hits, a .310 average, a couple of home runs, 9 driven in. And he lays down a bunt, and it goes foul. Trying to load him up for Brad Hopp. Inside, Melvin Mora seething over the misplays defensively. This is a man of immense pride and a guy that has been a tremendous big leaguer over the last 10, 11 years.
And normally, as you mentioned, the third baseman, you'd be yet an infielder that has had good hands. He should have made those plays, and he knows that.
Another example of just how hard this game can be, even for the very best in the world. 1 strike count, 2 on. And here's the bunt again. Halladay's throw just in time to get Mora. So Melvin Mora moves the 2 runners into scoring position. It is a sacrifice, and Brad Hopp will come up. Here's the defensive alignment brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Ibanez, Victorino, and Worth in the outfield. Polanco, a converted second baseman. Valdez and Utley up the middle. Howard at first, and Carlos Ruiz is having a terrific start to 2010. He's doing the catching. Brad Hopp, he returned to the lineup on Monday. He didn't lose his swing either. A couple of hits. And this ball is lifted to shallow left field, and Worth makes a sliding catch because he's down. Here comes Gonzalez, throws off the line. Cargo scores. 1-0 Colorado. Heads up base running as soon as Gonzalez saw Ibanez hit the deck. He said, I'm going to go for it.
Well, you have to. The reason why is who's on the mound. Anytime you get a chance at third and less than 2 outs, push the envelope. You have to do this. Hop inside out on a fastball that's in on his hands. The diving catch by Ibanez, now he popped up quick. The throw was accurate, but not quick enough for the speed of Gonzalez. He's going to slide, see how far he was away from this slide. He's going to try to come into this area to have the slide, and beats it well ahead of the throw.
And here's Helton, 1 for 4 in their 0-2 matchup. That was a long time ago, and he gets a cutter in, ball 1. Tom's got an RBI out there in Seth Smith. Career-wise, he's torn up the Phillies, a .381 average. One ball, 1 strike. Brad Hopp describing to Aaron Cook, I think, the pitch he hit. That's in 2-1. Noticing the outfield depth, they've come in a couple of steps. Victorino somewhat shallow in center. Ibanez in left field, and Worth in right. Ian Stewart is on deck. Helton did not play Monday night. Giambi did. And Giambi threw out 3 hits, 3 RBIs. He had a big ball game. Giambi's the other guy who's faced Halladay a lot and has good numbers. That's a strike 3 and 2. And you may be wondering, well, why would Jim Tracy not play Giambi then against Halladay, since you know he's going to play one of the 2 games? And I think the thought process, George, was defensively, you want your best infield out there, as good as you can have in the absence of Tulowitzki.
Absolutely, you got to have it. And I think that's something that you always weigh when you have a ground ball pitcher on the mound.
Helton covered that pitch in just in case, so it remains 3 and 2.
Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way in the first inning for Melvin Mora. The 1-hop hard line drive, difficult play, but one he'll tell you probably should have made. And of course, the double play ball extended the pitch count a little bit. We'll have to see how the statistic stretches out through the rest of this game. Mentioned early, the Rockies score first, 13-6. When they don't, 2-11. Well, they're up 1-0 on Halladay. We'll see how it pans out for the rest of this ball game.
And just the 8th walk for Roy Halladay this year. Now 2 on for Ian Stewart. So Halladay showing great respect for Helton. Take a look at our Breaks Plus Take a Break poll of the game. Text your answers to 95323. Do you wish Coors Field had a retractable roof? Text Rocks 1 for yes. I like a roof over my head. Rocks 2 for no. I can tough out a rain delay. Brakes Plus celebrating 20 years, rolling back prices during May. Get $49 semi-metallic brakes, $69 ceramic brakes. Breaking balls in there for a strike.
By the way, Halladay's career with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. And this, folks, is why you see a lot of his games, even win or lose, 3-1, 3-2, 4-3 type ball games, able to make pitches with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. A .222 average the opposition has.
And he's ahead 0-2 on Stewart. All the great ones, George, they look and they make choices. And that's not to say that you really want to face Ian Stewart. Stewart's leading the club with 6 home runs. He's batting .290. I mean, this guy's, I think, going to be an all-star one day. But Helton is Helton. Even though he's not the 2002 version of Helton, he's still a tough out. And Halladay very careful and may say, listen, I got a younger player on deck. I may want to go after him. into the bat, center field. Victorino waiting, he has it, but the Rockies get a run against Roy Halladay. Carlos Gonzalez got it started with a single and eventually would score on a short fly ball to left. Side of the field, not on there. Well, it snowed on both sides of the field earlier today. They had to cart a bunch of snow off. But the field looks great, as it always does here. Hats off to Mark Razum and his great groundskeeping crew. And they have a challenge this evening again. Weather's supposed to come in. The evening contest is scheduled to start at 6:40. Raul Ibanez will lead things off. 243 average, couple home runs, 16 RBIs. If the average doesn't look like much, I'll tell you that the first dozen games for Ibanez, he was hitting about half his weight. So he actually has done quite nicely the last couple of weeks. He hit 171 through the first dozen games of the year. On the ground to Clint Barnes. One out.
Exactly what you're trying to accomplish if you're Aaron Cook. Your club just gave you one run. Get the first out retired. Prevent some things that Charlie Manuel likes to do, which is hit and run, bunt and run, steal some bases.
Now this may catch you by surprise since we're a month and a half basically into the Major League season. Carlos Ruiz, not only is he among the top 3 hitters in the National League, he's leading the National League, George, in on-base percentage at .481.
You're not talking about a speed guy. You're not talking about a leadoff guy. You're just talking about a catcher that has had, quite honestly, kind of mediocre years throughout as a catcher. This year, the lights got up, and he's throwing the bat very well.
2 easy ground balls to start the second inning for Aaron Cook. And that'll bring up the shortstop, Wilson Valdez. Again playing because Juan Castro, who's backing up Jimmy Rollins, is nursing a leg injury. And Jimmy Rollins has a leg injury of his own, a calf injury that's landed him on the disabled list. He's been out for 3 weeks. He's going to be out for a while longer. Phillies come in at 20-12. The Rockies at 15-17. This is the second doubleheader of the year for the Rockies. They had a washout against Florida, played 2 the next day and split. That's a good sinker at 87, 88. George, that's I think where he wants to work.
It has nothing to do with velocity for Aaron Cook. It's all about location and movement. That's what it's all about. There it is again, right on the outside corner.
But don't you think when and Cook used to throw, I mean, he came up and hit 97 at times, but if he's 92, 93, it straightens out, doesn't it?
Asked Manuel Corpus the other day. He came in too strong, was 92 to 94 miles an hour. The ball wasn't sinking. He was trying to overthrow. It was up in the strike zone. Things were straight. Ford strike zone tells you that Cook's been around it pretty good. This is going to jam it. 5 of the 6 outs in the game. 5 of the 6 have been ground ball outs.
That's as good an inning as you'll get from Aaron Cook. That's vintage Cook. This replay brought to you by the Colorado Lottery. Rocky scratched out a run against Roy Halladay in the first inning. Carlos Gonzalez leading off had a base hit. Seth Smith a base hit to center field. And then after a bunt by Melvin Moore, a shallow fly ball at the bat of Brad Hopp, but Ibanez had to hit the deck to make the catch, and that was enough to get Gonzalez home. 1-0 Colorado. And from now until June 30th, replay any of your non-winning scratch tickets. Enter your tickets at coloradolottery.com. It'll be the bottom third of the order for the Rockies. Miguel Olivo with 5 home runs and 13 driven in. He's been scuffling, though, just 2 for his last 28. This is not a guy you generally like to face when you're in a bit of a slump.
Well, it's not, and I think the one thing he's got to work on, obviously, is keeping the front shoulder closed and drive towards your pitcher on the mound. Part of that is whenever you see this right here start to pull it all and the head goes with it, you've just disappeared the outer half of the plate. It becomes a pitcher's dream because now he can spin anything he wants to away from you because you've become pull happy. And I think part of that is the home runs that he hit early. 5 home runs early. All of a sudden you start to think an awful lot about those home runs.
And that's a base hit down the left field line. Now Olivo can run. Ibanez with the backhand, and Miguel will shut it down after a single. But that's a nice swing on a pitch that got to the inner half.
Well, that's what you're talking about. They want the pitch right down here. Let's look where the pitch is. You're looking at a belt-tie fastball on the Ford strike zone. So now when you're pulling the baseball, that becomes really quick to you to get to that baseball because you've cheated on the inner half. And he did it. Did a good job of it.
So here's Barmes, and Barmes has been swinging the bat well. He's hit 7 of his last 8 ball games.
Yeah, just starting to feel better too. A lot of times you won't hear Clint complain about it, but he had that chest congestion, head cold before, kind of hit everybody else in the locker room. And it didn't feel well at all, playing with temperature at time. Now all of a sudden his body starts to feel good. The results start to be good.
That's a strike. Chris Caccioni's calling balls and strikes this afternoon. Jerry Crawford, that's a good look at Chris. Jerry Crawford is taking the first game off. Corey Blazer's working first base. Brian O'Nora at second, and Phil Cuzzy is at third. It is Jerry's crew. But a lot of times with veteran umpires, if you do have a twin bill, they'll take one off, especially if they're going to work the plate.
Well, if they work the plate now, actually, Drew, it's in the union contract of the umpires. They cannot work double headers if they're going to work the plate at either time. So one of these two guys will get off. And I'm sure Corey Blazer will get the next game. He'll be working also, as Chris will get the next game off after working home plate here in the first.
Strikeout of Clint Barmas, 1 out, and that'll bring up Aaron Cook. Let's check in with Mark Stout for the first time today. Mark.
Thank you, Drew and George. If you're from Colorado, you know that if you go west-northwest from left field here at 20th and Blake, you'll eventually run into Arvada, the hometown of Roy Halladay. Now, everybody knows that he went to A West as this bunt is laid down and it's foul. And this is the first time in 15 years that he has pitched in his home state. You see the A West kind of shrine they have for Roy Halladay at the high school. And that 15 years ago, that outing he had was in the 5A state championship when he threw against Cherry Creek, a team that featured his teammate Brad Lidge, also Josh Bard, and Darnell McDonald, who's back in the big leagues with the Red Sox after this year. That was a heck of a 5A championship game back in '95. But yeah, guys, first time in 15 years, barring any All-Star games, he's pitched in Colorado.
Well, you're talking about 3 guys in that ball game who reached the big leagues. That's remarkable in itself. Roy Halladay was the 17th pick in the '97 draft. The Rockies, if you're wondering, that year took a fellow by the name of Todd Helton. Both careers
worked out pretty good, didn't they?
Worked out pretty good. Runner going, and the throw to second, and Olivo's out. So Olivo trying to swipe second, and he's thrown out by Carlos Ruiz.
A little bit of a slug bunt put on because Aaron Cook handles the bat so well. So if you put the ball in play, then obviously Olivo's got a chance to get there safely, and then you have a play on Cook. But with him moving to putting the slug bunt on, you open up the infield with holes.
I like that play. I know it didn't work out.
Well,
I know it didn't work out, but I like the call.
No question. I mean, you're trying to get a guy in a scoring position. There's 1 out at the time. If he's safe, Cook strikes out. You still got Gonzalez coming to the plate with a man in scoring position. It's a win-win situation.
Yeah, and even if Aaron doesn't come through here,
Gonzalez leads off the next inning.
And you're putting in motion. I know we've talked a lot about this the first 5-6 weeks. You're putting in motion a guy that may catch folks by surprise because he's a catcher, but he runs well. Olivo stole 29 bases one year in a season in the minor leagues. And it was pretty close play.
I thought it was a very close play on the Hyundai cam. You're going to see the catch. Now the tag's going to be applied. He gets him closer than what everybody thought it was, just because the ball beat him there, but it was high. A lot of times umpires anticipate that call.
Strike 3 on the inside corner. So Halladay on a 3-2 pitch catches Cook looking. Miguel Olivo single. Nobody left on. 1-0. Baseball on FSN is brought to you by AT&T. Find out what's possible with the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, rethink possible. By Brakes Plus. Brakes Plus, a whole lot more. By Courtyard by Marriott on the 16th Street Mall. Call 303-571-1114 and ask about our hometown sports package.
Get that.
And by Hyundai. Get more style, more MPG, and more value at your Colorado Hyundai dealers today. With George Frazier and Mark Stout, I'm Drew Goodman. Rockies leading 1-0 as we go to the top of the third inning. And it will be Roy Halladay leading things off. Told you at the start of the broadcast, Roy's given name is Harry. He's actually Harry the Third. And Harry the Second, George, or Harry Jr., is in the house, and Harry loves to watch his son pitch, but he doesn't want to watch him hit because he literally just got up from his seat. We were going to show you, and went onto the concourse for a second.
See it?
Yeah, but we'll show you Mr. Halladay in a little bit. They had a suite. Roy had a suite with a bunch of friends, family
birthday
members.
party.
Yeah, his birthday is Friday. He'll turn 33 on Friday. Well, Dad, you can come back. That didn't last long. Aaron Cook returning the favor as Halladay struck out Cook to end the second inning. 1 out, and that'll bring up Shane Victorino. Second strikeout for Cook, and now he begins his second venture through the Philadelphia lineup. And there's all kinds of landmines in that lineup. Victorino, a comebacker on the first pitch of the ball game, and he gets a sinker that's up a little bit high, ball one. It's in there for a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Two balls and a strike. There's one thing, I don't care who you are, as an athlete, you have to be a great competitor to play at the highest level. And then there's some like an Aaron Cook that you know absolutely relish the opportunity to take on a guy like Roy Halladay. That's a fair ball. Nice pickup by Helton. That's a smart little play, George. You know what? Instead of going to the backhand, Todd, you don't think a first baseman having to circle the ball, but that's exactly what Todd did to get it on his forehand side.
Absolutely he did. You better believe it. He's going to get over to get in front of this thing to hustle so nothing gets by him. And just square up more body to block a ball in case you get a bad hop and still make the play and to take it himself. You always want to try to do that as a first baseman. Less amount of error can happen if you keep the ball in your hand versus trying to toss to a pitcher or toss to another fielder.
2 outs, nobody on, and here's Polanco, who hit a sharp one hopper that went past Melvin Mora for a base hit in the first. Mora got a little leather on it. Here's the 1-0.
By the way, if you come to Coors Field, you don't just have to buy a seat. Another way to come to the ballpark, enjoy an off lot. Drew talked about it. Birthday party for Mr. Halladay. It's up in one of the suites, one of the party facilities. They've got them everywhere. Picnic areas, events that can fit any budget. Call the Rockies, 303 Rockies.
Yeah, Aaron Cook kind of spiked that baseball to the side. He didn't like it. He's upset. He's fallen behind. Polanco 3-0.
First time today he's fallen behind a hitter 3-0, and that's something to say for Aaron Cook because he's been in the strike zone. He's gotten a lot of early outs, particularly the last inning.
And he misses with that pitch. So now you got to deal with Utley here in the third. Utley singled his first time up. Philadelphia had something cooking in the first inning. They had back-to-back one-out hits by Polanco and Utley, and then Howard hit what should have been a double-play grounder. Mora couldn't come up with it. He scrambled just to get the out at first. So then it was second and third, 2 outs. Jason Worth, who's leading the club in RBIs, virtually every offensive category, was struck out on 3 pitches by Cook. Polanco draws a look, but he's not an extraordinary base stealer. And with this guy at the plate, who hit so many extra base hits, you're not going to take the bat out of his hands. Down low, ball one, and Miguel Oliva will go out. Here's your chance to win a green pack. That is 2 Rockies tickets to the game this coming Sunday against the Nationals, the vastly improved Nationals, I might add. Text FSNRM followed by a space in your name to 95323 to enter to win. And you will receive Rockies updates as well from FSN Rocky Mountain. Just a good deal all the way around. That's 2-0 on Utley. All of a sudden the strike zone eluding Cook. That's 6 straight out of the zone.
Well, one thing that he has a tendency to do at times, stretch, wind up, whichever way. When he gets into the turn position, or as if a man's on first base, a lot of times he loses a little bit of what they call that load position. In other words, loading up on that back leg a little bit longer to let his hand get out of the glove quicker, which gets the ball on top, gets a good dive into the zone. It's all about trying to repeat. Good sinker there.
The Rockies, with Utley at the plate, play him in the infield as almost an extreme pull hitter. Barmes is virtually up the middle. You see that Stewart's 30, 40 feet off the third baseline. Morris swung over. The outfield basically straight up. Carlos Gonzalez a couple of steps toward right center. Utley's hit .337 in his career at Coors Field with 6 home runs. It was a 9-game Coors Field hitting streak. Actually 10 games, including the base hit in the first. 3-1 on Utley. In addition to being a great hitter, is patient. He leads the National League in walks with 25.
Well, that's probably, to me, what makes him such a great hitter, because he's able to get into a lot of hitters' counts. And that's what's happened here on a 3-1 count. You see the pitches where they're trying to work on a 4th strike zone, everything away and down.
And a bouncing ball to Mora. Good job on a 3-1 pitch by Aaron Cook. He's got the super sinker working. He also has a 1-0 lead, middle of 3. Second time through for the Rockies against Roy Halladay. 1-0 Colorado. They got a run in the first. Carlos Gonzalez singled. Seth Smith singled behind him. Eventually, Gonzalez would score on a sac fly by Brad Hobbs. Strike one on Cargo as he leads off here in the 3rd inning. There's George Frazier and Mark Stout. Drew Goodman, first of 2. Day-night doubleheader. Second ball game scheduled to start at 6:40. And this ball back up the middle, and Carlos Gonzalez doing, George, what he did to Philadelphia last year. In the playoffs, he was 10 of 17, and many of those at-bats against the top-flight left-handed pitchers of the Phillies.
Yeah, Hamill was one of those guys, obviously, and he's not going to be seen in this deal. But it was pretty good, pretty awesome. Here's a high pitch from Halladay. You can see at the very top of the strike zone that he was able to do this. And again, another base hit right back up the middle. They played him with a slight pull. He was able to take it right up the middle and out of the reach of Utley.
Cliff Lee, Jay Happ, all the good left-handed pitching that Philadelphia threw at the Rockies, and they could not retire Gonzalez. Seth Smith had that one go underneath his swing, so it's 0-1. Roy Halladay, since 2002, has won 136 ball games. That's more than anybody else. Coming into the year, second on that list was Roy Oswalt. And third may surprise some people, but he's always healthy, and that's Derek Lowe in terms of wins in the big league since 2002. And then a tie for fourth, CC Sabathia and Johan Santana. That's coming into the year. Ninth on the list, the guy who throws tonight, Jamie Moyer. And Smith bounces one through the hole. Gonzalez will stop at second. This is how the first inning began. Hey, neither one of those balls were hit exceptionally hard, but they're hitting the right place.
Well, absolutely. You try to set up the defense and pitch to that defense, and Halladay's obviously one of those guys that can do that. Fastball inner half, it ran back out over the middle of the plate, and when it did, it got by Howard at first, who was holding on. Gonzalez would not have had a play. Cargo had to hold up to let the ball get into the outfield. Yeah, here you go again. They'll draw in Polanco at third because of the bunt attempt, and very successful of Mora in his first at bat.
And it's not a bad play if you do it again, and Mora tries to. You know, ordinarily you think three-hole. He's Zach bunting in the first inning, now again in the third, but look who you're facing.
Well, the key to this is you're going to try to steal as many runs as you can. You've got 2 straight base hits. You've got a very good hitter in Brad Hopp, a hot hitter in Brad Hopp. A fly ball to left, drove in a run earlier. Put these two guys into scoring position. You don't know how many of these opportunities you'll have against a guy like Halladay.
Get Utley moving too. Moore is really good at doing what he just tried to do there, George, and failed, and that is hit the ball to the right side. You can tell by that swing path he was trying to go in that direction.
Ball elevated up in the strike zone. Hard to get on top of that pitch, though, and do something with it to the right side.
Hop on deck. Nobody out. 2 on. All pitchers miss location. That's why hitters have success once in a while. This guy rarely misses location.
Very rarely. When he wants to go away, he goes away. He missed on Seth Smith, where he wanted that pitch in, and it ran back over the middle of the plate.
I got a stat that's just amazing. Roy Halladay has thrown 49 complete games since 2002. We're in the era of complete games being a lost art. He has more complete games since 2002 than 20 other teams.
10 last year with Toronto.
San Diego has just 24 during the same time period. The Rockies, I believe, have 30 since 2002. And Halladay by himself has 49. So Cleveland's #1 on that list because of Halladay, with 77 since 02. Second, the Cleveland Indians with 67.
Toronto was first.
Yeah, Toronto. 1-2 on Mora. And this ball is lifted to center field. Cargo's going to tag, and he's going to move up. And Smith thought about moving up. Victorino did the wise thing, and that is throw the ball to second base and make sure that you keep the double play intact. So Gonzalez moves up, and Mora with a quality at bat as he got with 1 out. hop, a runner to third base. Fans, feed your baseball fever at Taco Bell. If Colorado scores 7 or more runs during any game, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day between 4 and 6. Get 4 tacos for $1 with the purchase of a medium drink. And George, you get 2 shots at it today.
That's kind of nice.
It's a great deal. Here's Brad Hopp. He had a sac fly his first time up to drive in his 9th run of the year.
Well, 1 out, too. This is where Hopp has prospered this year. 4 for 10 with a runner in scoring position. Halladay is going to try to get him to roll over on a breaking ball. They've really tightened up the infield, trying to turn a double play up the middle with Utley and Valdez. Holes are open at first, and then on the left side between third and short.
With Vita, a guy like this, you have to take advantage of all of the opportunities you get. Because typically you don't get many. You got that fastball by Hopp, and it's 1-2 on Brad. Halladay's ERA minuscule coming in at 1.45.
The last couple of years, 279, 278. How's that for consistency?
That, George, look at the volume of innings. We talked about the complete games. He's thrown in the last 2 years, not this year. We haven't included this year's numbers, but in the last 2 years, 08 and 09, 485 innings, averaging 242, 243 innings a season.
Only 454 hits given up over that span, too. Pretty good job of keeping the ball. Don't get a lot offered. Only 40 home runs given up. About every 10.5 innings.
Rockies have Smith at first, Gonzalez at third. 2-2 count. Good job by Brad staying off that pitch. Change speeds on him. And it's now 3-2. You have Helton on deck. Rockies this year, when they score first at home, are 6-1. Got a run on 5 hits already in this ball game as they hit in the bottom of the third. Strike 3 on the outside corner.
Yeah, Brad Hopp wanted to say something too. He kind of made the right turn. But Halladay had thrown all fastballs inside and then goes away with some pretty good heat. Now he threw 1 pitch away. It was a changeup. But then he comes back fastball. I think Hopp probably thought it was up, thought it was out, and you know what, I have a tendency to agree with him here. See if that pitch is off of the plate from the overhead. It appears right on the corner.
So an opportunity for Helton with 2 outs. Todd came up with Smith at second in the first inning and walked on a 3-2 pitch. Take a look at the 2010 Amica hit zone on Helton. 26 hits this year. 22 singles, 4 doubles.
Well, they're typically high averages up in the strike zone, not down in the strike zone. That's where a lot of people try to off-speed him, throw change-ups, hard sinkers, keep the ball on the ground with Todd Helton.
Again, everything hard in. For each Colorado hit from now through the end of the year, Amica Insurance will donate $10 to the Boys and Girls Club of Denver. Thanks, Amica. I think that took a bite on the hands. Now Jim Tracy's going to come out with Scotty Garrett. Tough day to hit when the temperature is 39.7 degrees.
Well, but when you do, you don't feel it anymore. So that's the best part. Foul it off, it's 39 degrees, just stays cold and frozen. So you get home or get on a ride home in your car after the second game, you go, man, my foot hurts. Oh, yeah, that's right. Fouled it off, though. Todd last year, great success with a couple of outs and the runners in scoring position. 5 for 10. This year has struggled with just 1 hit.
Look at Halladay. When he misses, he doesn't miss by much. Ruiz set up away, and that pitch missed by inches. Helton drives the ball to left field. Here comes Ibanez, and he'll get up here and make the catch. So the Rockies had a couple of hits to begin the inning, could not produce a run. 1-0. We go to the fourth. Inning, Ryan Howard will be first for Philadelphia. Aaron Cook has got ground ball after ground ball. The Rockies have got 5 hits off Roy Halladay. Unfortunately, only 1 run. But George Frazier,
yes, sir.
They have forced Halladay into 20 pitches, basically an inning in the early going.
Made it a little bit tougher, but again, he's a guy that the pitch count never really comes into play with him because of the amount of innings he throws.
Ryan Howard hit a ground ball to second his first time up. Overcast day, cold temperatures. Doesn't look like there's any threat of precipitation right now, despite the clouds overhead. Tonight's forecast not as favorable.
Well, they keep saying that, but thanks. Look, I'm just saying we'll play.
I will play. And maybe, baseballs flying around and also snowflakes. Shift on for Howard. Here's the 0-1. And it eludes the shift. So the first time the leadoff hitter has reached for the Phils. That'll bring up Jason Worth as we take a look at our AT&T trivia question. 5 active pitchers have more wins than Halladay's 154. Can you name them? I think the new number, too, and you start projecting Hall of Fame guys, George, some of it will depend on win percentage. But if you get anywhere near 250 wins, I think that's the old 300, or the new 300.
I agree with the fact that they should do that at 250, but I also think that guys that already had 287, 293, 283, those guys should be in also. I don't think you should overlook their accomplishments because guys don't play 25 years anymore.
0-1 on Worth, down low 1-1. Well, we talked about this the other day, and we should revisit it. I mentioned that, you're a very dear friend, a guy you played with, and a guy who is a tremendous pitcher, one of the great curveballs of all time, Bert Blyleven. Look at his numbers. Robin Roberts, the former Phil, who just passed in the last couple of days, 286 wins. They're within a win of each other. The loss is virtually the same. The ERA slightly better for Blyleven, and of course, many more strikeouts for Blyleven. And Blyleven came close this past year. He's right on the cusp of being inducted. But the point that you're making, George, he belongs in. I agree with you 100%. Blyleven belongs in. But now when you move to this era, I think 250 wins in this era is going to be something.
No, it should be. I mean, Jamie Moyer's at 247. I got a chance to get to 255, 260, maybe 265. Who knows? But again, yes, I think for me, and again, not to say on this point a lot because we got a very good ball game going on, but I think too, I don't want to see a guy get into the Hall of Fame because he had 2 good World Series. Curt Schilling. Very good pitcher in his time. Very good pitcher in his time. But he wasn't consistent enough and won enough games for me to get him into the Hall of Fame. Just my opinion. He had a couple of good World Series. He had the emotions of Boston and the Sox and Arizona. But to me, it doesn't get him in the Hall of Fame.
He's going to be close. 1-2 on Worth. And this ball is going to get down. Gonzalez can't get it. And Howard is going to run and get a green light coming around third. Here's the throw to the plate. There won't be one. A double by Worth. He has tied up this baseball game with his 27th RBI.
Well, you talk about the Colorado Rockies. Where would they be without Carlos Gonzalez? Where would this Phillies team be without Jason Worth? Big base hit. And again, this pitch out on the outer half a little bit, ran back to the middle, but it was elevated in the strike zone. Cargo tried to angle this baseball thinking he could catch the ball and realized how hard it was hit late, and then had to re-angle and go get to the baseball. And then Howard coming around third base. Big man. Speed has improved a little bit for Howard. He comes around to score to tie this ball game. Phillies with 3 hits now, 2 of those coming in this inning. The Rockies with 5.
Raul Ibanez takes ball 1. Nobody out. Worth at second base. I was talking earlier about the fact that the Phils are doing the best they can, Ruben Amaya Jr., of locking up all of their core guys. And one guy they'd like to lock up that is going to be a free agent at the end of the year is the guy at second base, Jason Worth. And I'm sure his agent is eyeballing the deal that Jason Bay just got with the New York Mets.
Comparable players, and he should. And I think I like the way Jason handled it, though. Worth said, you know what, when the season ends, let's talk about it. Let's just play baseball and try to get back to the World Series right now. He realizes what kind of player he is. He knows what he's going to be able to accomplish. Charlie Manuel just grateful to have him on his roster and in the lineup every day as a healthy player.
Two 2-0 on Ibanez. He's trying to pull the baseball here. 2-1.
Yeah, looking at my scorebook, there's yet to be an out recorded on a fly ball. It's either been a ground ball or strikeout by Aaron Cook. And obviously the sinker's working well. Let's see if Ibanez, now he's an RBI guy, so that's what he's trying to accomplish with Worth out at second base.
Aaron forced to step off.
Well, with Barmes coming around, Barmes was faking back and forth, and when once a shortstop goes to the bag, if you're not going to pick, you need to step off to restart the play. In other words, allow him to get back into position. You don't want to throw a pitch and have the whole left side of your infield wide open.
Three and one. You know, one of the things, George, in Aaron's mind right now is if he loses Ibanez, it's not the worst thing in the world, in that it sets up a force all the way around with Ruiz coming up and then your 8-hole hitter.
Well, the only bad part about Ruiz, the guy's really swinging the bat well and doing some good things offensively for their ball club.
Yeah. He did lose him. So Ruiz, who hit the ball on the ground to third his first time up, will approach.
You know, with one out.
To George's point, he had 4 hits on Monday night.
Yeah, and with one out, you know, I could really see your reasoning of go ahead, you know what, let's go right on right. Got a guy that doesn't run that well. We turn the double play and do things. But with nobody out, you know, you're digging yourself a little deeper hole. I mean, what's the result going to be? Instead of going right at the guy, particularly here in the 4th inning. To see the idea of trying to form a game really starts to kick in about the 7th, 8th inning when you start to walk guys in certain situations. You start to do things as a manager a little differently.
Ruiz at the plate has been a huge part of the early success of the Phillies at 8 games north of 500. 354 average coming in, 3rd in the National League. Strike 1. Repair that chip in your windshield. Call Safelite Elite Auto Glass 303-287-5000 or go to safelite.com. Pulled to third. Oh, what a play by Stewart. They got the out at second also. A gamble by Stewart. When the ball's hit to the third baseman, it's almost automatic. If they're close to the bag, you go third to first. But it was hit so hard that Stewart said, I can go around the horn perhaps.
Well, maybe, but I think too, Drew, when he went to the bag, this ball was flat out smoked. I don't know, where was Ruiz? I didn't see him running up the line on that shot. If he was already down there quite a bit, he probably doesn't run that well. So you're right. Maybe they're thinking, let's look at 3 right here. If Mora might have been able to throw the ball, instead they get to force at second for 2 outs and a runner at first. This inning got cleaned up with 1 swing of the bat and a great play by Stewart. Yeah,
somebody got, you know what? Mora may have got spiked.
He's limping around a little bit right now, kind of grabbing the back of the hamstring a little bit, maybe hip.
I'm going to see that play again. I think now he's looking at a hip, George. That's not where he would, if it was spiked, it would have been down low. All I can say, and I know Rockies fans will agree, you're going to have injuries. That is part of sport. And if you're going to have them, get them out of the way early in the season.
Well, look back at 07 and 09. Realistically, how many injuries were there with the Rockies? Not very many. But you're able to overcome those, and that's where guys get to step up into position. They get to assume a role maybe that they weren't before. One guy that comes to mind right now that's really grabbed a hold of Yoeli Shashin. I mean, he went right after it, and look what happened to him. He's obviously pitched it brilliantly up here. But if it's not for the injuries, you don't see him up here.
Well, you know, in 07, 3/5 of the rotation went down in the summer. So that's when Jimenez came up. That's when Morales came up and got on everybody's radar pretty quickly. And Mora's going to have to come out of the ballgame.
Well, it's got to, I would think, Eric Young Jr. Good thing EY's had the ability to play second base. So otherwise, you're going to have to stick to whiskey out in these type of situations. So EY will come into the ballgame. He'll hit the 3-hole.
Wow. I mean, guys are dropping like flies here in the first few weeks of this season. And the Rockies have to make a roster move, George, after game 1 because Jason Hamill is pitching game 2, but he hasn't been activated yet.
Exactly. So, I mean, you know, there's a lot of, not a lot of options of what you're going to do now. But again, that's why you wait to make moves until you get into this game deal or get into those situations. And for Mora, have to come out of this ball game. May open up an avenue for somebody else to stay on this club that normally wouldn't have been here at the start of game 2.
Now watch Stewart. Yeah, the worst is let me get down. He didn't really get down. He just covered his face. Now watch.
I think it's a stride and a turn. That's what it is. It's kind of back in that hip flexor area. That's where it came because it never got spiked. Nothing ever came in there. I just think it's more of the stretch and turn of the body in the lower half.
Wilson Valdez at the plate. He had a weak ground ball to second his first time up. They have Carlos Ruiz at first, 2 outs, 1 run in. It's 1-1. The inning started with Ryan Howard singling through the shift on the right side. 3 infielders on the right side. And then Jason Worth behind in the count, lining a double to the wall in left center field. This is punched down the line, and it's a fair ball. And the ball ricochets away, and a stop sign late for Ruiz. And the throw is up the line by Brad Hopp. Aaron Cook helping back up Miguel Olivo. The good news is, folks, runners at second and third, but it's Halladay coming up. He does not have a ton of hitting experience because he spent his entire career till this season in the American League.
Well, let's take a look at this pitch again to Valdez, a guy that does, man, they got guys down now.
Looks cold. Now that's Ruiz.
Ruiz is coming out. He did something to his ankle. Slider down and away, sinker down and away, and he just really slider at 84, excuse me, and he just hits it off the end of the bat, kind of flips it out, and it stays fair. Now, when you get over as an outfielder, even if you do know it, did he hit that guy's glove? Because if it did, that makes it all a dead ball. Yep, second and third. Now Ruiz is going to come out. Let me tell you something. Yeah, he's limping pretty good, isn't he? Coming in over there. You know what makes it hard on them, Drew? Now you're down to your last catcher.
Yeah, Paul Hoover, they just called up because Brian Schneider, veteran from the Expos organization, the Nationals, the Mets most recently, he's their backup, George. They just had to place him on the disabled list with an injury. So Paul Hoover's been around a long time. He's been up and down between AAA and the big leagues throughout his career. Hoover now goes into the game, and Hoover's going to have to catch the rest of this game and the next game. Because Lehigh Valley, George, their AAA affiliate, that's a long way away from Denver.
Let me tell you right now, that phone's ringing right now in their locker room. They're getting a hold of that manager saying, we need more help.
Roy Halladay, an .079 career average at the plate. Don't make a mistake. I should say that .079 average was coming into this year. He's 3 for 38 coming into this year. This year he has 4 hits in 26 at-bats. And this is chopped to Barnes, and he will throw out Halladay. No further damage, though the Phils tie up this baseball game. Moore is out of there for the Rockies, and Ruiz is now gone for Philadelphia. Check our Excel Energy fun fact on a Wednesday afternoon at Coors Field. Politics upstage is baseball in Toronto. Phillies Blue Jays series will be played in Philadelphia because of security issues during the G20 summit. The stadium falls within an outer security zone surrounding the convention center. Now, the rescheduled games will be considered home games for Toronto. The DH will be in play. Being a cynic at times, George, I would say that Toronto has a chance to draw about the same number of fans in Philadelphia as they would have at Rogers Center, because they're averaging...
Oh, you're not being nice.
I'm not being nice, but I'm being honest. They're averaging about 15,000 folks a ball game. They're last in attendance in Major League Baseball right now. Paul Hoover has to replace Carlos Ruiz, who goes out with some kind of leg injury.
Well, Hoover's got almost 2 years at the big league level. First appeared with Tampa in 01, again in 02, kind of off and on between the big leagues, minor leagues. Then he was with Florida in 06 and 07 and 08. Have played a lot at the major league level. 31 total games over that year and a half. Been a premier backup, 31 games that he had appeared in, and only 78 at bats so far, 6 RBIs. A 33-year-old.
Well, Roy Halladay, one thing that series being moved to Philadelphia does is it prevents Roy Halladay from going back to where he reached stardom, and that is Toronto. I don't know how the schedule would have fallen, whether he would have thrown against the Jays in that 3-game set. Ian Stewart rips a base hit to center. Make sure that ball got down. And this is what kind of class act Roy Halladay is. After he left Toronto, he wrote a very passionate letter to the fans of the Blue Jays and had it bought a full-page advertising page in the Toronto Sun back in December, late December, after he signed with Philadelphia, thanking them for their support. So leadoff knock for Stewart. Here's Miguel Olivo. He had a base hit his first time up.
Base hit on a fastball that they tried to ride in under the bat. He got it up in the zone, and Olivo made him pay for it. A line shot to left field.
This ball's hit well, left center field, really well. And it is off the base of the wall. Stewart around third. He's coming to the house. 2-1 Colorado. Up, bounced out. He's got to go back to third. A ground rule double. Hopefully that is not a bad break.
But against Halladay, you know, he can always make pitches, but then he didn't make one here. Another pitch, similar mistake and miss on Olivo, and he made him pay for it. And to left center field on a very cool day, this ball traveled an awfully long ways, and one hopped up into the stands. That prevented Stewart from scoring. Even at the bottom half of this lineup, opportunities and a chance to take the lead are here.
Yeah, Barmes, I'm sure, feeling a good deal of pressure right now, in that he knows there's nobody out second and third. He's got the pitcher hitting behind him, though. That's why the 8-hole is a very difficult spot to hit it. A lot of times you're doing all you can to flip the lineup over, George, to clear the pitcher in an inning.
Well, a lot of times that's why Tony La Russa hits him 8. He feels like it benefits his lineup if he does that.
1-2. Infield's back, try to get it in play. Barmes kept the hands back long enough, George, to cover that breaking ball.
Well, it wasn't pretty. I mean, it really wasn't, but it was a nasty breaking ball, and Clint did his job. I mean, he did everything he could for Jim Tracy to try to put it in play. Their infield's back. So, I mean, Tracy's just trying to figure out a way to get something done and get something in here, and as he watches Barmes take a swing on a 1-2 count.
This gets away, and a gamble by Stewart, and he is out.
Yeah, bad gamble. He thought that ball got too far away from him, reacted when he saw the ball bounce away. I mean, all he could do is shake his head. Paul Hoover was able to go back and get the baseball when he blocked it. You know, you can see Stewart, the disappointment on his face. He thought when he saw it bounce that it had gone beyond Hoover. The Rockies practice react to balls in the dirt, do it in a hurry. See how this ball bounced? And on his angle, apparently thought that ball had bounced away from him. It had not, and they're able to apply the tag on the sky cam. You can see Hoover as he stumbled. Stewart stumbled, yet he has got the tag put on him.
Hey, George, I want to see that again, because does he really ever tag them? Their bodies contact, but he's still got to tag them.
He's trying to roll himself out of the way. Does he ever touch the plate? Yeah, right there on the knee.
You know what? Yep.
And he got it, and then he never got to the plate until he fell over the top and rolled on it.
2-2 on Barmes. Moving to third was Olivo on the wild pitch.
Still that chance with one out and a 2-2 count. Well, to get this run in somehow. Their infield staying back. They feel confident they're going to score some runs in this ballpark.
Tell you what, it'd be a gutty call here. I mean, real gutty.
Well, they're not. I don't think that's going to happen.
Two strike squeeze with a guy who can really bunt. Barmes.
If the guy didn't have great secondary stuff, a hard slider or curveball, then you might think about it. But you know, if he was a guy that relied strictly on fastballs, or that was his predominant pitch, but to pull that off right now, oh boy.
Yeah, with 2 strikes, no less. So Barmes has worked it full. Roy Halladay with his 71st pitch upcoming here in the 4th inning. And a good job by Clint.
Beautiful job. Curveball at 77 miles an hour, knowing the pitcher's in the on-deck circle, not giving in with a fastball, give him a chance to hit something that's straight versus trying to hit something moving away and down from it.
2 runners on in 3 of the first 4 innings for the Rockies against Halladay. High ball 4. So Barmes goes to first. Olivo's at third. Halladay has walked 2 in the ball game. And Aaron Cook up there. Now how do you play it, George?
Well, again, I'm going to go ahead and let Cookie try to do some things with the bat first and foremost because he could swing it.
But you want to stay out of a ground ball double play.
Yeah, but here's the thing about it. Charlie Manuel and everybody else knows and realizes, okay, this could be a squeeze situation, so I think everybody's alerted to it. What you watch for, safety squeeze. So you're going to sacrifice the runner over in a second scoring position, a guy that's 2 for 2, first base open. Interesting. Let's see what Charlie does. Let's see if Charlie Manuel walks Gonzalez and pitches to Seth Smith. If anybody else is on the mound, he probably doesn't.
They're having a conversation. Gonzalez pulled the ball sharply between first and second for a base hit and then rolled one up the middle. He's 12 for his last 19 against Philly pitching, for what that's worth in this at bat. 2 runners in scoring position, 1-1 game with 2 outs. And on the outside corner. You know, he is one of those few pitchers, George, when you say, hey, work carefully to the guy. If you walk him, no big deal, who can actually execute that plan. Because too often you see that plan go awry when something gets center cut. And this ball pulled to first. Howard knocks it down. He's going to get to the bag. And boy, was that ground rule double ever large. The Rockies get a double from Olivo, and instead of it being a run
you have to try to take advantage of every opportunity you get, albeit how small they are, because there's never really too many large ones, although we just had a pretty good one develop right there. But as he gets deeper and deeper into the game, him, just like any other premier pitcher in the American or National League, they're going to give you like 1.5 shots at him, and that's about it.
Hey, Jim, good luck as always the rest of the way. We appreciate it.
All right, Drew.
That's Jim Tracy downstairs. The Rockies had a great opportunity. George, you got a 4. And we welcome you back inside Coors Field, a 1-1 baseball game. As always on Wednesday, Jim Tracy kind enough to join us. Trace, I imagine you have to manage this one in the early innings as if it's the 7th or 8th inning because of Halliday.
You really do, Drew. You have to try to take advantage of every opportunity you get, albeit how small they are, because there's never really too many large ones, although we just had a pretty good one develop right there. But as he gets deeper and deeper into the game, him, just like any other premier pitcher in the American or National League, they're going to give you like 1.5 shots at him, and that's about it.
Hey, Jim, good luck as always the rest of the way. We appreciate it.
All right, Drew.
Now Jim Tracy downstairs. 1 out. Placido Polanco to face Aaron Cook after Cook retired Shane Victorino, and that's a strike. George, you look back, you get a 420-foot double that bounces into the stands, and that cost the Rockies a run.
Well, it does. I mean, it really does, because obviously Stewart was going to come around and score on that. But you had other opportunities after that, and you didn't get the job completed.
In this ball game already, if you're bouncing around, watching from work or from home, and may have missed an injury to Melvin Mora. Looked like he pulled some kind of muscle. He had to leave the game last inning. Then Carlos Ruiz running the bases. The Phillies catcher had to leave. And we remind everybody that in the initial lineup that Jim Tracy wrote out this morning, that man, Troy Tulowitzki, was back in the lineup. But with the temperature in the upper 30s, after running a little bit in the outfield, Keith Duggar, the Rockies head trainer, this ball is pulled down the left field line and deep, and Smith's going to have to field it on a hop. And it's going to be a double for Polanco. But after running around with the cold temperature, the Rockies felt like it would be wise not to play Tulowitzki. And you look at the 2 injuries that have already occurred, and it is all that more a wise decision.
Breaking ball that stayed up into the strike zone, and again, this is something off speed that allowed Polanco to adjust to, particularly when it stayed up, to drop into the outfield for a double. And there you are back in the middle of this lineup. You don't want to be in with men on base.
Polanco, his average coming in was 300, and he's 2 for 2 and a walk. That's no surprise. He's a lifetime 303 hitter. A lot of people may not realize that. They don't know about what Chase Utley's done in his career. He takes ball 1. Utley a single in the first and a ground ball to second in the third. 1 out. And Utley, the 3-hole hitter at the plate for Philadelphia in a 1-1 ball game in the 5th. Good pitch.
Well, the most hits Halliday had given up this year, 10 in 1 start. The Rockies already have 7 up on the board, and they're only in the 5th inning. He's pitched through 4. Had chances.
They've had their chances. They got a lot of traffic. Can't do much better than second and third, nobody out, can you? Unfortunately, Halliday got out of it last inning. Here's the 1-1 to Utley, and that's in there, 1 and 2. Chase last year hit .282 with 31 home runs, 93 RBIs. He has 4 seasons of 100+ RBIs. His batting average high was 2007 when he hit .332. Lifetime he's a .295 hitter. 1-2, and he serves it to left field, and around third comes Polanco, and the Phillies take a 2-1 lead. Boy, that was the definition of not trying to do too much with a pitch that was away. RBI number 19 for Utley.
And you talk about his hand speed all the time, about how he's able to get the pitches, drive balls into the outfield and hit them into the seats. But on this pitch, Cook makes his pitch. It's a good sinker away at 85 miles an hour. But look how the ball moved off the plate. It was on its way to moving about 2 inches off. And he just flips his bat and throws it out into left field and gets the run across. 12 RBIs now for Utley versus Cook. Remember, we mentioned those numbers against Mr. Cook early on. 8 for 21, a 381 average with 11 RBIs, now 12 in just 24 at-bats. The most by anybody that Cook has faced in his career.
Ryan Howard's 1 for 2, ball 1 on him. Utley at first base is a threat to go. Last year, he attempted 23 stolen bases, and he was successful 23 times. Talk about a complete player.
Nice guy to have on your team if you're writing in the lineup card.
Yeah, the last 2 years, George, he's 37 of 39. 2 years ago, he was 14 of 16. And I compare it a little bit to Tulowitzki, because neither guy's a burner, but they have become very good base runners and base stealers. Now, Tulowitzki, who stole 20 last year, was caught 11 times. So he hasn't quite reached Utley's level of figuring out, you know, when to find the breaking ball. I mean, 23 out of 23.
Amazing, isn't it? Part of that is Davey Lopes and his ability to what he does to read catchers, read pitchers, read moves. What do they vary? What are the looks? You know, as much as a hitting coach studies a pitcher, Davey Lopes not only studies the pitcher, but more importantly, that stopwatch tells a lot of story for Davey Lopes and what they need to accomplish as base runners.
Davey looks like the Michelin Man, George. 3-1 on Howard.
Hey, don't forget about all the different opportunities to come to the ballpark and watch a game. They've got a lot of different mini plans. 15 to 25 game mini plans. 303 Rockies for information, or just go on to ColoradoRockies.com to answer those questions.
And this is a base hit to center field.
Bob Apodaca wants to make sure that maybe there's some adjustments that need to be made right now. And as a pitching coach, you come out and want to say those magic words that click in a pitcher's mind or a catcher's mind about maybe the approach you're taking.
Well, while they converse on how to work to Jason Worth, we'll show you Jason Worth's hit zone. Brought to you by Amica Insurance.
Well, middle's pretty good, obviously, as it is with all major league hitters. But I think you start to look and pick apart where you think you can go. Slider down and away possibly be one area to go to. Can you ride that good hard sinker down and in on him? Well, maybe. I think the one thing you do is you make him aware of this pitch right out here, and then you try to ride that heater up above his hands and get him to commit. Yesterday on a strikeout, it's exactly what the Rockies did with him.
So Worth up with 2 on and 1 out. 30-year-old Jason Worth, 6'5", at 220, 225 pounds. Doubled in the first run last inning. Ball 1. So Paul Hoover is behind the plate now. Carlos Ruiz is out. You may be wondering, all right, who's the emergency catcher? You're looking at him. Jason Worth, his first couple of years in pro ball, was a catcher. In fact, he's caught 403 games in the minor leagues.
Oh, that's old hat for him then.
Yeah, they converted him. That hit him. They converted him in 2002 to the outfield. Now the bases are loaded for Ibanez.
You ever thought about this? Why when you're an RBI guy and you got an RBI situation and the guy's out there on the mound, and a ball barely nicks you, why do you act like you got hit? Wouldn't you want to swing the bat?
Well, you know what? George, you know this. You played in the big leagues. The bottom line is you want to be unselfish. You want to pass the baton along. So you don't have chopped liver behind you.
Well, no, you don't. But, I mean, you know, you're thinking big-time RBI guy. Ismael Rogers is now warming up for the Rockies. He was moved to the bullpen.
And this ball is to deep enough left field that it will easily get Chase Utley home. Now it's a 2-run advantage for the Phillies. 3-1 here in the 5th inning. Professional at bat by Ibanez, his 17th RBI. Just shows you how deep that lineup is, George, because it's hard to lift the ball when Cook's got the good sinker going, and for most of this ball game he's had the good sinker.
He has had a very good sinker, but as a left-handed bat, sometimes you get it over the middle of the plate or down. It gives you an opportunity to drop the head of the bat and drive it a little bit. Hey, you're not out of the woods yet. Hoover's a guy, 33-year-old guy that first at bat since being recalled back from the minor leagues. 6 RBIs, career .258 hitter. He just went real quickly from sitting on the bench and watching baseball for a while to catching possibly 14 innings and being the only guy.
Lehigh Valley, we mentioned that's a AAA affiliate for the Phillies. They're playing in Charlotte currently. Snap throw to first. And diving back in is Worth. Philadelphia, after the ball game tonight, will fly to Milwaukee.
Snap throw it, I mean in a hurry too, positioned perfectly by Olivo. It's just a hustle of the big man, got back into first base, and then Worth.
1-1 on Hoover.
I tell you what, a lot of guys that just stick around in the game, you say, you know, why is Hoover still here? I mean, he's 33 years old. He's had his chances. It didn't work out. I tell you one thing, folks, once you get it in the taste buds, you want to get back to the big leagues as much as you can. You think about this. He's been in pro ball since '97. That's a while back. This is his 32nd major league game to play in. But Pat, these kind of guys on the back, they stick through it. They ride the buses. They got horrible flights and hotels to get this chance again. Baseball gods smile on you every now and then. Today they're smiling on Hoover to give him another opportunity.
He's a baseball player. That's his profession.
Well, you know, it's changed so much too, though, because you know what? Let me ask you a question. You could go down to AAA, and a lot of teams pay $10,000, $15,000 a month to go to AAA, and you work 5 months. Where else can you go make $75,000 to play something you really like?
Yeah,
and then go to winter ball and make another $10,000 or $12,000, $15,000, come to big league camp, do your job there, and if somebody happens to get hurt, you get a chance like he's getting right now. He's getting more major league time. He's getting the insurance side of things. There's a lot of positives that just happened for him when he got called up.
Here's the 1-2.
Plus,
there's a lot of guys who do it. I mean, we ran into George during spring training, an old friend, J.D. Klosser, who at one point was a prospect, first with Arizona, and then with the Rockies, and now he's becoming, and I put this in quotations, an organizational player, a guy that you keep around. Right.
He's an emergency parachute. When somebody gets hurt, you can run him to the big leagues. He's not going to embarrass you. He's got a couple of years at the big league level. Come in and catch for a couple of weeks. Yeah. Not running a young kid that's going to, in a very valuable position, catcher.
Yeah, exactly. Strike 3 on the outside corner. In the inning, it started at 1-1, and at the end of the inning, it's Philadelphia 3, the Rockies 1. The mound leading Aaron Cook and the Rockies 3-1, bottom of the 5th inning. Today's Fast Cash Sideline Report brought to you by Fast Cash Gold Centers, where you'll always get 40% more for your gold. Let's check in again with Mark Stat. Mark?
Thank you, Drew. Time for an interesting stat. As we look at the scoreboard, you see the score of the game. You see what inning we're in, the bottom of the 5th. The Rockies have scored with their run in this game 158 total runs on the season. 126 of those runs have happened between the 1st and 5th innings. That's right, after the 6th inning, and this includes extra innings, the Rockies have tallied 32 total runs. They've scored all their runs at the beginning of games, so it's a key point in this game against Roy Halladay, guys.
And it's something, honestly, that has to change. Good pickup by Utley. The Rockies, and I think it will change, and change dramatically so, because they have too much talent offensively for it not to. But the Rockies, near the bottom of the barrel in Major League Baseball right now, in runs from the 7th inning beyond. And as we all know, in close games, it's about scratching out a run or two late to oftentimes put yourself on top.
Well, it is. And again, when you get those kind of chances and big opportunities like that, and again, you credit Halladay, he made some pitches, but you still got to be able to do something. And and that, I think that's where some of these guys that you sit and look at what they're trying to accomplish, it gets rougher with it.
Eric Young's first at bat. He came in for Melvin Mora. It looked like he pulled and muscled out in the field in the top of the 4th inning. 1-1.
Has he hit a lot of guys? Look at Halladay. Has he hit a lot of guys, Dougie? I know he's not afraid to pitch inside. I just wondered if he ever gets close to some people.
Well, I can tell you in his career, he's hit 107 guys, 24 last year, George, led the league. 27 the year before, led the league.
That's a lot.
25 the year before, led the league.
That's pretty good. Is it called old school?
Does that answer your question?
Is that old school? Is a little old school hardball going on?
Yeah, Don Baylor knows all about getting blunt.
Oh, yeah.
2 balls, 2 strikes on EY with Brad Hopp on deck.
You know what's most impressive? You're talking about hits late in games and stuff like that, Drew. What's impressive is who you're doing it against. Whether it's Trevor Hoffman was close to 600-something saves, Heath Bell, because a lot of those August, September games you're playing within the division and against some of the better closers in the game of baseball. Broxton.
He lost his chance to go to second. He spun out going around the bag, and hopefully he's okay.
And you know what's hit? I would.
Well, regardless of whether it's a hit or an error, I think it's an error personally. But you know what? That's a bad break also, because he'd be at second base with a chance with Brad Hopp, if he gets a knock, to score a run.
Utley just didn't get down on the baseball. I think he anticipated something happened. Now, when he hit this ball, he's looking at him. He sees the ball get underneath and makes that turn and slip because he hit the backside of the bag. Howard did what a first baseman is supposed to do. You're supposed to come out and crowd the bag and make them go around you and take a wider turn. Well, Ely hit the backside of that bag and lost his balance. An error put on Chase Utley. For Utley, that's his 4th of the season.
You know what, George? I got to correct something.
What'd you do? Were you reading in the wrong column?
I was. I was reading Chase Utley, who leads the league every year in getting hit.
And you thinking you're reading Halladay?
I thought I was reading Halladay. So Halladay.
Wait a minute.
Halladay has only hit 1 guy this year.
Doug, I'll stick to you on the statistical things from now on.
You'd be smart to do that. two years ago, he hit 5. Runner going, and this is pulled to first. So Young gets to second in scoring position for Helton. 2 outs.
You really did, huh?
Yeah, so.
Did you really?
I had Roy leading the league every year. I was like, man, he's hitting a lot of guys.
Oh, when you said 24, 27, 25, I'm like, really?
That's a lot. You were proud of him.
I was pretty happy about it. I was like, man, all right, let's do it again. No, just don't hit our guys.
Yeah. 08, he hit 12. George, as you like
transitioned right into it.
As you like to say, oopsie.
Yeah, oopsie. Thought I had a bad spot there.
Yeah, strike one on Helt.
You did it. You sitting in my chair today, or what are you doing? Did you put my headset on?
I don't know.
No, my bifocals?
That may help.
They'll crisscross you.
That's low, 1-1. Todd in the ball game, a walk and a fly ball to left field. Boy, a hit here would be huge. Bottom of the fifth. Halladay is closing in on 90 pitches in the ball game. And again, we know, we've talked about it. You know it. He's old school. He's a guy that can go 120 pitches. But if you can get into that bullpen, anybody's better than facing number 34. One and two on Helt. We asked the AT&T trivia question a short while ago. You've had some time to think about it. Here's the answer. Who are the 5 active pitchers with more wins than Roy Halladay's 154? One's his teammate, who we'll see in the evening, Jamie Moyer. He's won 262. Andy Pettit, Tim Wakefield. Fouled off. Livan Hernandez, who's sipped into the fountain of youth for the 18th time in his career. He's having a nice season with Washington. We'll see him in a couple days. He matches up Friday with Ubaldo. You talk about a Ferrari and a Hugo. That's what you got that night.
A what? A Hugo?
Yeah. This ball gets away. Young's going to move up.
Where are you coming up with these cars? What did he call it?
Hugo.
Who made that? Hugo?
Yeah.
Sam, you ever seen one of those? Sam's never seen one. Dougie, you probably rode in one.
Two and two on Helt.
Hugo.
At least you know what a Ferrari is. This ball is ripped to right. Get down. Well, Helt squared it up, but it was right at Jason Worth. We'll go to the
On Phillies here in the top of the 6th inning. Time for the decks. This date in history, this is a great one for this game, considering the weather that has happened here in Colorado. It was on this day in 1985 that the first postponement of that season happened. They had played 458 games that year, and then finally there was a rainout in Cleveland. The Indians were supposed to play the Brewers. Well, Cleveland's playing in Kansas City tonight. I doubt that that's going to happen, but I looked in the Rockies media guide. I think this is only the 3rd time in the month of May that the Rockies have had any kind of a rainout or postponement. No snowouts, but yesterday's weather was certainly unique. Drew, George?
Well, it could get more unique later on today, we've been told. Wilson Valdez out of the 8-hole with a 1-strike count against Aaron Cook, and this is in the air to Brad Hopp. Didn't move at all. I mean, not an inch. 1 out. Let's take a look at our Jack in the Box, outside the box. These are players born in Colorado that are currently active in the big leagues. Roy Halladay, Chase Headley of the Padres, David Ardsman, the closer for Seattle, Darnell McDonald, who's up and doing a nice job with the Red Sox, Luke Koshaver, Chris Narveson, who was briefly a Rocky, Brian Matthews with Baltimore, and Mark Melancon with the Yankees. Now, I know you're at home, you're shouting, wait a second, you left out some big names. Kevin Kuzminoff, for instance, swinging bunt. Barmes comes up with it, and he throws out Roy Halladay. And there's several others that prepped in Colorado. The operative word in that sentence was born in Colorado. Outside the Box is brought to you by Jack in the Box. In fact, Brad Litch prepped at Cherry Creek High School. Was not born in the state of Colorado, so he's not on that list. The word from the Rockies clubhouse is Melvin Mora has a glute strain. It's day to day. 2 outs, Victorino at the plate. Word from the Phillies clubhouse is Carlos Ruiz is day to day with a knee injury of some sort. Now, you can't not have a backup catcher. That's one spot where you can't go, well, we'll go 2 or 3 days and Hoover will do all the catching, because it's just a high risk position. Jason Worth, we described for you, as the emergency guy, but there's somebody who's getting ready to board a plane from Charlotte to Milwaukee right
yeah,
about
you can't,
now.
and you can't put a young kid in that position, because now you've got a guy, even though he's a veteran guy, 32 games he's appeared in at the big league level. So, Dougie, here are the catchers on the team down there. Have you got it yet?
Victorino retired. Quick inning for Aaron Cook. Rockies will try to get it. Freeze camp, Brad Hopp, a shallow fly ball. Once Ibanez hit the dirt, here comes Carlos Gonzalez, first run of the ball game. And he clearly was way ahead of the tag of Carlos Ruiz. That was the Frostbrewed Coors Light Freeze Cam. Unfortunately, that's the only run the Rockies have. Ian Stewart hit a bullet to center field for a base hit his last time up, and he takes ball one. The Rockies have had their opportunities against Roy Halladay. They had runners in second and third in the fourth with nobody out, but did not score. One of the reasons, and you don't fault Ian Stewart, he was trying to be aggressive. They were in the bottom of the order, and there was a pitch in the dirt. Players are taught to read dirt balls, and the ball got away from Ruiz, and unfortunately didn't get far enough away. He scrambled, picked up the baseball, and was able to tag out Ian Stewart on a play at the plate. There was one out, and then Barmes walked his first and third. Aaron Cook sacrificed Barmes to second, so it was second and third, 2 outs, and Gonzalez hit the ball hard, but right at Ryan Howard, and that was it for the threat. 2-2 on Stewart. Halladay's allowed 7 hits, but just that first inning run. Strike three.
Pretty good paint there. I mean, that's outside corners and knee at 91, and that was on his 97th pitch of the game. So he's starting to maintain, obviously. The least amount of innings he's gone this year is 7. He's done that 3 times this year. He's gone either 8 or 9 beyond that. Here's that hard sinker down and away, just squared Hoover up. Shows on your forward strike zone that he is off the plate, yet positioned for the catcher to be called a strike.
4 strikeouts for Halladay. 3 have been called third strikes. Miguel Olivo's hit him hard. A single and a 400-foot double, and the double was a ground rule double. Otherwise, Stewart scores standing up. And another base hit.
3 straight pitches that he's made mistakes up in the zone, fastballs, and he just made him pay for it. I think that's the best part about it. He's made mistakes with the pitches, and he's buried it with it.
Well, how about this? The silver lining so far in 6 innings of baseball has been Miguel Olivo emerging from a slump against maybe the best pitcher in baseball.
Well, it is, absolutely, because it's a guy that has made mistakes with his fastball, and he's made him pay for it. By the way, the catcher's David Sardina. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Look
at this. Was he in the Rocky organization, Sardina, as a catcher in the minor leagues? I think he may have been. He's only played 14 games at the big league level. And then the other, John Savomi. Is that how you say it?
Weren't there 2 Sardinas, too, that played?
Well, there's a Bronson Sardina that's in the Rocky, or I think that's his name. He's in the minor leagues right now with the Rockies. In extended spring training, was a high draft pick of the New York Yankees back in 2000. Does an outfield.
Doug's been sitting there all afternoon. Let's make him go to work. 1 strike count on Barmes. 1 out. Miguel Olivo at first. And this ball is an easy play for Shane Victorino. That'll be the 2nd out. And the Rockies will go to their bench. Ryan Spilborghs will pinch hit. Time for today's Quest high-speed pitch. Roy Halladay has hit 93, Aaron Cook 91. That's brought to you by Quest, the high-speed internet provider of the Colorado Rockies. Well, Roy's dad, Harry Halladay Jr., watching. His son is an all-state player here on 3 occasions, was the player of the year twice in the state. His career ERA at Arvada West was 0.53. Ball 1 on Spilborghs. Cook goes 6 innings, gives up 3 runs on 8 hits against that lineup. You know, Aaron Cook pitched a very solid ball game.
I thought he did.
Roy Halladay's been a little bit better. This is slowly hit up the middle. Should be an easy play for Valdez to Utley, and that's all for the Rockies to 6th. We move on to inning number 7. 3-1 Philadelphia. Look back. In the first inning, Brad Hopp hit a shallow fly ball, but Raul Ibanez had to lay out to catch it. Carlos Gonzalez, who singled, comes home 1-0 Colorado. In the fourth inning, Jason Worth got a pitch over the center part of the plate, behind in the count, and he lined it to the wall. That brought home Ryan Howard, who had singled. That tied the game. And then in the fifth inning, Chase Huntley goes opposite field, also behind in the count, to drive in a run. And Raul Ibanez, a sac fly to left field. 3-1, Philadelphia. Rockies have had a couple of opportunities, could not capitalize against Roy Halladay. And now they're in the bullpen. By the way, the Cooney Lexus look back brought to you by Cooney Lexus, where luxury has an address. Here's the line score: 3-8-1 for the Phils, 1-8 and 0 for the Rockies. Today's call to the bullpen is brought to you by Comcast Digital Home Phone Service. Warm up to unlimited local and long distance. Call 1-800-COMCAST. Randy Flores has been terrific coming out of the pen. He's had 15 appearances. He's yet to give up a run. And George, your favorite stat for your brethren in the bullpen, inherited runners. He's had 16 of them. Only one has scored.
That and 79% of first batters faced, and the efficiency that he's done against them. You know, you're trying to set it up. Belisle's getting loose down in the Rockies bullpen right now. And what this is trying to set up for is to have him face Utley and Howard as left on left. Regardless of what they've done in the past, you like your numbers to go left on left.
He's going to make it a little bit higher than 79%. Polanco on a ground ball to Barnes.
Particularly in tight ball games, you just limit what managers can do. Utley is 3 for 9 in his career against him. Howard 1 for 6. The next two hitters in the lineup for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Chase Utley 2 for 3, including an RBI. Chase has moved that average up to 311. Chase Utley's at a Long Beach Poly, and they've had a long list of famous athletes in the 3 major sports to emerge from Long Beach Poly. It's like a small college. He went on to stardom at UCLA. Chris Iannetta, by the way, last night, getting some people updated on how some guys are doing down under. Chris hit his 4th home run. This is another base hit for Utley. His 4th of the year. He's got 15 RBIs in 10 ball games since being sent out. He's hitting right at 300. So a good sign. Chris is getting things in order offensively. 1 out, and that'll bring up Ryan Howard. He's doing a good job down there again. George, who had a great spring.
Jonathan Herrera.
Jonathan Herrera, who could play the infield, the outfield. He's hitting .316. Down in Colorado Springs. Howard's got 2 hits today. Since the start of the 05 season, nobody has more RBIs in Major League Baseball than that many.
It's surprising, isn't it? You'd think it would have been Pujols, maybe A-Rod, with all the RBIs he's thrown up. It's Ryan Howard.
The Rockies are going to get him here, assuming this ball comes down to earth.
Let's see what Jim Tracy does. He has the right-hander Belisle ready with Worth coming to the plate. He's thinking. You watch a manager sit back and wait, and you hear Worth announce, and then, you know what, I did this for a purpose. I had him warmed up and had him ready to go, and I'm just going to go down and get Belisle on the job he's done.
Well, the advantage, too, George, is the pitcher spot was cleared last inning, so you don't have to worry about burning a pitcher with that spot due up, say, in the next half inning. So Randy Flores gets the first 2 outs of the inning. We'll come back. dispel a common myth. You can use your College Invest Savings Plan anywhere in the country. A 4-year school, a 2-year school, a trade school, and it doesn't matter what state it's in. So if you set up a 529 plan, say in Colorado, and you go to school eventually in California or New York or Florida, it does not matter. Go see them at collegeinvest.org. You will be thrilled you did. Get started saving today for your kids' futures. Jason Worth up there with Chase Utley at first base and 2 outs. And Matt Belisle has the first pitch in there for a strike. Rockies have the second lowest bullpen ERA in baseball. Their problem has been late games. They have 3 saves as a team and 4 blown saves. But their middle relief has been outstanding. 1-1. Worth last year a first-time All-Star.
See the numbers on Belisle, very good. 13 appearances so far, 85%. That first batter efficiency. He's only inherited a couple of runners. Successful 66% of the time, 2 or 3. Worth, by the way, has hit 269 in his career. He's never hit 300. 07 and 94 games, hit 298 as a hitter. So really come on as far as an RBI threat, big bat threat, threat to hit the ball out of the ballpark.
And this is up to short, and Barmes on the move. Boy, he and Tulowitzki are outstanding, charging the baseball and throwing on the run. $70 today and pay later with license plate toll, or get the lowest rate now with Express Toll. The Nationals come in tomorrow for a 4-game set, and then the Rockies hit the road again for a week. They'll play the Cubs, the Astros, and the Royals. 3 teams struggling this year. Carlos Gonzalez leading things off in the 7th. Getting late, Roy Halladay has thrown 105 pitches, so you wonder if this inning will be all for Halladay. Gonzalez is 2 for 3 against Roy.
118 pitches last time out. That's the most he's had this season. 118 prior to that.
3-hit day for Gonzalez. I was talking to a couple guys with the Phillies organization, one being Charlie Manuel, and they
was
weren't
a former hitting coach.
Right, and they weren't exactly disappointed. They obviously were. They felt for the kid as to why he wasn't available, but they weren't disappointed that Carlos did not play on Monday night, because they remember well again what he did last fall.
Well, you make pitches, he pulls the ball on the ground through the hole, you go away from him, hits it up the middle, go away next time, and it's a line shot to left field.
He can flat hit, and he can cover. George, he not only covers the plate, he can cover 6 inches
wide swing
outside the strike zone on the outer edge. Seth Smith's got 2 hits and 3 trips.
By the way, in 2009, Holiday averaged just shy of 110 pitches. Excuse me, 106 pitches per game.
And I compare him. He's done this for a while, so I want to be respectful of Halladay. But in terms of work ethic, in terms of preparation, Roy Halladay and Ubaldo Jimenez are the same guy.
Well, they are. I mean, and again, this is a guy that runs a lot. He spends a lot of time in the weight room. He does a lot of stretching and a lot of things to prevent injuries, to carry his career where it needs to be. And it's something that you wonder, being around certain pitchers in the game.
Which is why he can work deep into ball games and maintain. Forget the velocity. We always talk about velocity, but you know what happens, George? You know this better than anybody as a former pitcher. When guys get fatigued, it's not so much that the velocity drops, the location.
It's mechanics.
Yeah,
you got to stay mechanically sound, and the pitch will stay where you want it to go, regardless. And you'll have the same movement. It may not be 92, but it's going to be 88, 89.
And he's able to maintain his mechanics and thus his location late in ball games.
Well, that's the key to it. It's all about your mechanics and not trying to. When guys get tired sometimes, they'll change an arm angle. They'll try to force velocity instead of trying to just let the pitch movement create the outs. 26 to 32 starts a year ago. He went over 7 innings. That's pretty good.
The only team this year to produce more than the 9 hits the Rockies have against him today was the Giants on April 26th. Got 10 hits and 5 runs, and this ball is hit well, but it's right at Ibanez. I mean, the Rockies have hit the ball legitimately well against Halladay. I mean, it hasn't been a bunch of bleeders. Think of Helton's ball a couple innings ago. The line shot right at Jason Worth in right field. Now Eric Young is in the ball game. This will be his second at bat because Melvin Mora strained a glute muscle stretching for a throw on a force out at second. And the replay of that is brought to you by the Colorado Lottery, and we'll show you after this first pitch. It's that Colorado Lottery replay. A smash at Stewart. First and second, nobody out. He steps on third, and Mora had to reach a little bit. And he's showing the dugout what happened, and he pulled the muscle. From now until June 30th, replay any of your non-winning scratch tickets. Do it at coloradolottery.com. 2-0 count on Young. Brad Hopp on deck. First time Roy Halladay has pitched at Coors Field. And the second time he's ever pitched against the Rockies. And this is slowly hit, and a low throw, bobbled, safe there. Good call by the second base umpire, Brian Honora. He hung with the call because initially it looked like Valdez came up with it, but then he saw the white of the bobble. And they're 2 men on, 1 man out for Brad Hopp.
Absolutely. I mean, again, this is Howard, who's become much more mobile with the fact of losing weight. But this is a bad throw, a sinker on the ground. And Valdez typically has great hands, does not hang on to this low throw from Ryan Howard. So the Rockies with first and third now, and just 1 out, and Brad Hopp and then Helton coming. See it on the Hyundai cam. Never had control of the baseball.
Brad Hopp, sac fly in the first, a strikeout on a 3-2 pitch. And that ball's in the dirt, and also a ground ball to Howard. The strikeout on a 3-2 pitch was a called strike 3. Halladay doesn't give up many home runs, but every once in a while. One ball, 1 strike. Halladay, a career 23-9 with a 2.70 ERA against the National League. And Paul Hoover's had to dive around in the dirt.
Yeah, he's really overthrowing, trying to keep the ball down in the dirt, low in the strike zone, I should say, to try to get a ground ball double play.
The next pitch will be the 118th for Halladay, which actually the 119th, which will match his season high. Gets the strike there on the swing. It's 2-2. Chad Durbin, J.C. Romero on the left side in the bullpen now for Philadelphia. 2-2. Durbin's been very good.
Well, they've got a few guys to choose from down there in the 7th inning. Romero's the only left-hander that they have. But when you get to that 8th inning, it's Danny Baez and then again Contreras to get you bridge that gap over the ledge.
And this ball hit to deep right field. Brad Hopp is hit off the scoreboard. There's a track meet going on. Young's trying to get to the plate, and he will. Hopp has tied it up with a triple. Brad Hopp has come through here in the 7th against Roy Halladay. And the Rockies have caught the Phils.
3 RBIs today for Brad Hopp, and this was obviously a huge swing. Charlie Manuel's heading to the mound now to go out and get Halladay after this ball. You think that's what's going to happen. Let's look on the 4th strike zone. Fastball golf to hit to right field. Great read by Eric Young. He's off, then Worth misplays it. It gets by him off the wall. Then he dropped the baseball. That allowed Hopp to get to 3rd. This allowed 2 guys to come in. Worth fumble in right field. Hopp will get a double and then an error on Worth. 3rd error of the ball game on the Phillies. Doesn't prevent from this game being tied 2-2. It just allows Hopp to be at 3rd with 1 out and Heltman. They're going to their bullpen, folks. 3-3.
Chase, and Carlos Gonzalez and Eric Young Jr. scored. Brad Hopp a double, 2 RBIs, went to 3rd on the error by Worth. Now the Rockies can take a late lead if Todd Helton can bring home Brad Hopp. Roy Halladay can only look on. 6-1 record coming in. All he can get now is the loss. In his first ball game back in Denver since he pitched for Arvada West back in 1995. Helton line to right his last time up. Rockies with 10 hits off of Roy Halladay.
Looking back at this inning, too, how big's the bad throw by Ryan Howard at second base, and maybe the ability not to complete it. Helton 0 for 4 in his career against Romero. So, I mean, there's some defensive lapses that have cost the Phillies and helped the Rockies.
Helton didn't fire, and he didn't offer either, so it's 1-1. So didn't fire, didn't offer, the same thing, but I was referring to the third base umpire, Phil Cuzzy, whether or not he was going to ring him up. He did not. Infield, in on the right side, halfway left side, and that almost got away from Hoover.
Well, like a lot of guys that have spent time in the minor leagues as backups, guys that maybe not playing a lot of games, they can really catch and they can throw. And that's one thing Hoover can do. See the numbers on J.C. Romero this year, 5 appearances because of the ability to have some little arm issues. Came back from it, 2 2/3 innings over those 5 appearances. Walk 4, that's hurt him. He's only retired the leadoff man 40% of the time.
3-1 on Helton. You have Stewart on deck.
Durbin is going out in the bullpen, but this lefty's going to get to face these 2 guys before anything else happens.
Todd this year, George, off to a slow start, as we all know, but he's hit .333 against lefties, .219 against righties.
But again, and this is a guy that likes big moments, and this is one of them.
Plenty of room in right center field. Hops 90 feet away with 1 out. And this ball pulled, but right at Ryan Howard. Helton can't buy a break the last 2 ABs.
Well, think about this. The line drive to right field just smoked right at Worth. And then he comes up and gets the pitch to hit here and just almost undressed Ryan Howard at first base. This ball is flat smack. He ended up getting the out. That'll be up to Stewart against the left-hander. You see Helton going, man, what do I got to do to buy one of these things not to be at someone?
I'll tell you what, Hop's got to be on his toes because Romero's already buried one of those sliders, as we described, in the dirt. Stewart at the plate is 1 for 3. On Stewart. 2-strike count. If your windshield has damage, it needs replacing, call Safelight Elite Auto Glass 303-287-5000. Online at safelight.com. Three in the 7th. That almost got away, and that's a real tough pitch, George. That was the fastball. That's a tough pitch to block. You know, slider in a catcher's head, it's kind of assuming, hey, it may be buried. Fastball, you don't assume that's going to happen.
Watch what happens, though, with his catcher. He's expecting, so watch him ride out with the pitch. See how his body and everything's riding out to that area, just try to clear it to make sure the ball doesn't get by him. He's not worried about catching it, not worried about keeping it in the glove. He's worried about keeping it in front of him.
3-2. You have Olivo on deck, who's 3 for 3 in the ball game. And you can almost guarantee Charlie Manuel, if Romero doesn't get Stewart, will bring in a right-hander.
You have to, don't you?
Yeah, that's the book. Here's the 3-2. And Stewart lines it to Utley.
Hey, you got him popping up, huh?
Well, Roy Halladay gives up 3 runs on 10 hits. The Rockies hit 2 lines. the Home Depot doing more on defense. Ian Stewart tries to score on a wild pitch, and Ruiz scrambles and gets to the baseball. Actually, Hoover scrambles and gets to the baseball. And tags out Ian Stewart. Home Depot doing more on defense. 3-3 game, top of the 8th. Matt Belisle will continue on. He got the final out of the 7th inning. Raul Ibanez will lead it off, and then Paul Hoover, who had to come in for Carlos Ruiz, who hurt himself running the bases, and then Wilson Valdez. Ibanez, he's 0 for 1 officially. He walked in the 4th, hit a sac fly in the 5th. Curveball for a strike. Talk about a game that would be uplifting for the Rockies if they were to find a way to win it. Rockies fallen 2 games under 500, and with the prospects of facing Roy Halladay at the start of the day. Yeah, that's good pitching right there. Ibanez, a high fastball, take a seat. 1 out, that'll bring up Hoover. So the final line on Roy Halladay, he goes 6 1/3. He gives up 3 earned runs, 3 runs total, 10 hits. That matches a season high. A couple of walks, just 4 strikeouts, and a season high 121 pitches. You wish Coors Field had a roof. That young man may right now. That's a strike. That's our Breaks Plus poll question of the day. And you know what? I'm with the 81% who voted no. We live in the most beautiful state in the country, and 99% of the time, maybe not 99% of the time, but the vast majority of the time, the weather's outstanding. We don't need a roof. We don't need a stinking roof here, George.
Didn't need one in Minnesota. They built a new ballpark without it.
And it rains a whole lot more up there. They may need some heaters today. That wasn't the poll question, though.
Well, it's a rarity. I mean, to get this kind of, obviously, to get this kind of weather, the temperature and everything else in May in this town, it just doesn't happen very often. I mean, you get 1 or 2 day a storm and then it clears up. But hopefully things are looking better for the weekend. It's supposed to warm up to 70 on Sunday.
Well, on the way to school today with my boys, I said, all right, name the 3 months that you're almost guaranteed, at least in Denver, not to get snow. There's only 3 of them. June, July, and August. That's it. And if you're up in the mountains, you can get in all 12 months. 2 punch outs for Matt Belisle, and that'll bring up Wilson Valdez.
Yeah, Danny Baez, the guy that came into the ball game for the Phillies the other day, he's warming up. He's a right-hander, former closer with Tampa, and then the left-hander, Joe Beimel, is warming up for the Rockies in the bullpen.
Well, the Rockies in the 8th, George, will have Olivo, Barmes, and then remember the bench is short. Newey's in the game. Spielborg's has already been used. So you're probably going to see Giambi then.
Giambi, yeah. Will, more than likely. And hopefully there's somebody on base when that transpires. Yeah. If nobody's on base, 2 outs, you might see Greg Smith swing the bat.
Possibly.
Save your bench for later on in case you have to make a switch there. That's one thing Jim Tracy does do. He is a master at running a bench and a bullpen.
We got to give a lot of credit to Bob Apodaca and the job the Rockies have done as an organization, turning Matt Belisle around. This ball is a base hit for Valdez.
Now, one of those guys that has a huge plus for him was Chuck Neffen, who was resigned to spend time with his ailing father in Colorado Springs. When he went back down, they made him the closer in Colorado Springs. So you've got to get this attitude. It's not stuff. It's attitude, believing you can pitch there, believing you can be at the big league level as a reliever. He'd always come up as a starting pitcher. Sure enough, boy, man, he turned the corner when he came back and got back up here and just fired.
That'll be Greg Dobbs pinch hitting in the 9 hole.
get to come out to the ball game on May the 28th. That's right. They get to come to the Art Buy where you'll receive some Rockies Rewards coupons. Not from Joe Byman, who's warming up in the bullpen, but all you have to do is call 1-800-388-ROCK or go to ColoradoRockies.com for your rewards from Rockies, their coupons. The May 28th game.
Oh, and 1 on Dobbs. Pinch hit on Monday and was retired. Blocked by Olivo. The Phillies are in the midst of the best run in team history. They've won 3 straight National League East titles, and they're heavily favored to win a 4th.
When you think back in the late 70s, early 80s, when they won a championship, and how good those teams were with Smith, Rose, and they had a great ball clubs there. Steve Carlton was the headline starter on that team.
Yes, they did. One and two. That's the best fastball we've seen. 92 on our gun. Let me correct something on Halliday's line. It was 3 runs, 2 earned. One of the runs was unearned. 3 errors by the Phils today. I'll take advantage of that. And he went around. Good pitch. Breaking ball strikes out Dobbs. Belisle strikes out the side. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th inning in a 3-3 ball game. It'll be Miguel Olivo leading it off. Fourth inning with a man on. Miguel Olivo crushes one to left center field. And it hits off the track and bounces over the wall. That was huge because Stewart was ahead of him. Stewart had to stop at third. He had actually already crossed home plate, but was called back to third because it was a ground rule double. The Rockies, though they had second and third, nobody out, did not score that inning. So now until June 30th, replay any of your non-winning scratch tickets in a second chance drawing. Enter your tickets at ColoradoLottery.com. 3-3 game. Danny Baez, who pitched on Monday, is on for the 16th time this year.
High earned run average. Been beat up a couple of times in games. That'll happen out of the bullpen. 14 innings, just 13 hits given up. 6 walks over those 14 innings. If he gets wild, take advantage of it.
He faced Olivo on Monday and induced a fly ball to center field. The guy on deck, Clint Barmas, he hit with a pitch. Olivo 2 for 28 coming in. He's 3 for 3 this afternoon, and if it gets down, he's 4 for 4. So Miguel Olivo, fully out of that slump over the last week with a 4-hit ball game, his first in a Rockies uniform. And the go-ahead run is on with some speed at first in Olivo. And now with Barmes, you can move him, and you have Giambi waiting somewhere in that dugout or perhaps underneath in the tunnel, taking a few more swings.
I was telling Dexter Fowler to walk out. That doesn't mean he's necessarily going to use Dexter Fowler.
Here's the bunt, one play for Baez, and that's to get Barmes at first. So Clint does his job, and Miguel Olivo in scoring position. And the Rockies will have a couple of swipes at it here in the bottom of the 8th. It'll be Dexter Fowler, not Jason Giambi. So Jim Tracy's going to hold him back. Fans, if you'd like to receive notification when Colorado scores 7 or more runs in a ball game, for your Feed Your Fever Taco Bell offer, text the keyword taco to 95323. Tulowitzki originally in the starting lineup, but because of the extreme cold today, they didn't want to risk him straining that quad anymore. Troy holding the bat. He's got the batting gloves on. Rockies have Fowler and then Carlos Gonzalez. Gonzalez is 3 for 4 in the ballgame. In there for a strike.
Get something you can handle. 0-1 count. Probably going to try to throw hard sliders at you. Got to anticipate that with Dexter and his troubles of that, of a curveball and a slider. But typically what they're going to try to do with, they're going to try to drop this pitch and have it work right into this area on that back foot. The reason why just has not made the adjustment to it, but has to the fastball. Pretty good heat right there. 93 and a pretty good placement with it. Corpus is getting loose in the Rockies bullpen. Rockies happen to take the lead. Who stays tied in the 9th, he'll be the guy.
That's a strike. Olivo single leading off the inning. Fowler pinch hitting for Belisle. 3-2.
Well, no other left-hander down in their bullpen, and both bases occupied, first and second. If he does walk Fowler, Manuel's going to be forced to go right at Gonzalez. With Danny Baez, that's not a matchup he's looking for, so you hope he has the ability to get Fowler here and keep first base open.
High ball forward. He lost him, and now Carlos Gonzalez will come up with 1 out and 2 on. And there is no place to put him.
There's 4 outs and 2 runs, or 4 base hits, 3 base hits, and 2 runs scored. Although all singles, he's hit the ball extremely hard. And Charlie understands as he talks to Davey Lopes. He understands the situation he's in. All you can hope is your reliever go out and fire strikes right now. And it's the hazards you have in a game like this that you only have one left-hander in your bullpen. You had to use him for the knockout punch to get Helton earlier and Ian Stewart. Now you're left without one. You're back-to-back lefties. Both teams struggle today in this game with runners in scoring position. Philadelphia 1 for 6. The Rockies 1 for 9.
That's a strike.
He started to go at a pitch that really wasn't his pitch. A running fastball at 93 miles an hour from Danny Baez. And I think that's why he started to fire the hands and then just able to hold up on it. Fastball in the 4th strike zone. You can see it partially in on the inner half of the plate and up a little bit.
Gonzalez was 3 for 4 against Roy Halladay. He had a base hit to right, a base hit to center, and a base hit to left. And he pops it up. Infield fly rule is in effect, 2 outs. And now it'll come down to Seth Smith, who's had a penchant in his young career for getting things done late in ball games.
And one thing the Phillies don't do is they don't give up a home run. They will give up the base hit. They've gone 72 innings without giving up a home run. Smith 2 for 4 with a couple of singles. The longest streak the Phillies had was 115 innings back in '82. Now, the record in the big leagues, 177 in the third. Drew, you had to go all the way back to 74 for the longest streak without a home run. Be a good time to break that streak of the Phillies right now.
Jim Tracy take a clean single here, bringing in Oliva.
Yeah, the good part about it, Oliva is at second, but he does have the speed. We've talked about it. Drew has with the stolen bases over 21 years in the minor leagues.
Oliva at second, and at first is Dexter Fowler.
And really, average arms in center and left, strong arm and right at Worth.
Smith 2 hits and 4 trips. Last time up, he lined the ball right at Ibanez and left, and he had a quality hack there. It's 0-1.
Yes, he did. High heat at 92 miles an hour, not with a whole lot of movement. Fourth strike zone, you're going to see where this is. They're trying to bury this thing on the inner half, and again, it just ran right back to the middle of the plate. Smith, a very good swing on a bad pitch by Baez.
Statistically, in close and late situations last year, Smith hit .351, 4 home runs, 16 RBIs, and 57 at bats. It's close and late this afternoon in game 1 of a split doubleheader.
Yeah, part of the reason I think he has such very good command of the bat and of the strike zone is his approach at the plate. Watch how wide he spreads out, so there's not a lot of movement with the upper body, and then he gets down in a little bit of a crouch, so he makes you throw the ball down in the zone, and he's able to handle the fastball in. Got a slider there, a curveball at 77 miles an hour. Pretty good location. Started out and then broke to the middle of the plate, so it made it a little more difficult for him to get a healthy hack on.
Yep. Well, in the first 7 innings, the Rockies have left 9 men on. 6 of those 9 men were left in scoring position. 1 and 2 on Smith. And he pops it up to left field. Yeah, the Rockies had their chances in the 8th, and they had the right men up, Gonzalez and Smith. But they don't get it done. We'll go to the 9th. By Dex One, Marketing Solutions, Business Results. By Geico, 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on car insurance. By Larry H. Miller Nissan, driven by you. And by the Colorado Lottery, don't forget to play. Well, don't forget to check the post-game report after the ball game either. It's 3-3. Roy Halladay, Aaron Cook, both threw the ball well. Both are gone. It's on the bullpens. And let's check in with Tom Helmer, who is just cozy warm, it looks like.
It's balmy out here. It's like a balmy 39. I hope we play extra innings. It's a beautiful day for baseball. We're playing two, so why not some bonus innings? We'll talk about catch me if you can, Drew. Now the catching situation becomes interesting for the Phillies with the injury to Ruiz. We'll also talk about Precious Cargo. Cargo Gonzalez back in the lineup. Strong performance in this first game. And we'll also address the roster move that the Rockies are going to have to make before Game 2 when Jason Hamill takes the hill. It's all coming up right after the ball game. Drew, back to you in the cozy booth. I'm sure you've got a space heater up there.
No, our window's open.
I know the window's open, but I also know you got a space heater up there too, probably.
No, I don't have a space heater. I don't have a space heater.
Cargo is in left field, Dexter Fowler in center, and Manuel Corpus is on for the 15th time. It'll be the top of the order for Philadelphia in a 3-3 game. Shane Victorino. Victorino's 0 for 4, and he takes ball 1. On Monday night, Corpus got beat up in the 9th inning. He gave up 4 runs.
Yeah, part of that, the 3-run home run. But he said, you know what, I felt too strong. I'd been off 4 days. I was overthrowing things, trying to throw harder than I should. Just did not handle the strike zone very well at all versus staying relaxed and keep the fastball down in the zone, just throw strikes.
This is a flare to left field. Gonzalez strides over, 1 out. One out. Tom Helmer is saying we're up in the cozy booth. No, we are out in the elements. See George Way. We are out in the elements.
Yeah, I mean it's out here. This is baseball, America. This is great.
But that booth, as is their practice when it gets below 70 degrees. Our buddies Jack Corrigan and Jerry Schimmel.
Well,
Jerry's hitting a little bit.
There's a newbie over there.
Well, even when Jeff Kingery was there, they always had it closed beneath 70 degrees was the cutoff. If it's beneath 70, they close the windows. And they're continuing that tradition with Jerry up there. 0-1 on Placido Polanco. 2 hits, a walk, and a ground ball to shortstop. Two-time Gold Glove winner at second base, now playing third for Philadelphia. It's one of those non-headline moves in the winter, George, that I thought was a great move for Philadelphia. Of course, Roy Halladay's move got all the headlines, and well it should, but picking up Polanco again, great move. And he hits the ball to center field. Dexter on the move. He's going to get there.
Well, your defense, even though Smitty's above average outfielder, whenever you make that switch that Tracy made where you put Fowler in center, Gonzalez in left, everything got a little bit faster in the outfield. And you'll see Dexter, when this ball's hit into the gap in left center, it's all about positioning, too. And he's able to get over, get a good break on the baseball, stretch out the hand, and make it look like a pretty easy catch. Well, going to the bullpen, Bible is going to come in and face Utley and Howard.
George, not so fast. Hopefully just Utley.
Right. But it is the 2 left-handers. Let's hope it is just Utley. You're right. We have a couple of outs.
Be optimist.
Yeah, absolutely.
2 outs in the 9th inning, 3-3 ball game. Chase Utley against Joe Bible when we return. The Rockies 3 runs on 11 hits. The Phillies 3 runs, 10 hits, 2 errors. And you may have heard us say earlier they had 3 errors. They did have 3 errors, but there was an official scoring change we need to tell you about. Brad Hopp was originally given a double, 2 RBIs, and then an error on Jason Worth, allowing him to move to third. They looked at it several more times, and they gave Hopp a triple and took the error away from Worth. Our Ecotech Institute game summary. Joe Beimel is on, and he'll face Chase Utley with 2 outs in the top of the 9th inning. He is retired. The first guy he has faced 12 of 13 times this year. Lefties are 4 for 20 against him. Righties are 4 for 20. And the Rockies employ the shift.
And Utley is 3 for 13 against him.
And 3 for 14. 1 pitch, and Beimel gets the fly ball. We will go to the bottom of the 9th inning. The Rockies looking for 1 precious run. They'll have speed at the beginning in Eric Young Jr., then Brad Hopp and Todd Helton. To bring home Carlos Gonzalez and Eric Young and tie this baseball game at 3 and knock Roy Halladay off the mound. Our Jimmy John's delivery of the game, and Hopp is going to get another opportunity here in the 9th inning, perhaps to win it. They will turn to Chad Durbin, the Phils will, here in the 9th inning. Eric Young Jr. will lead it off. This will be the 13th appearance for Durbin. Told you earlier when he was warming up, he's had a real nice season so far. The league hitting a whopping 154 against him.
Really changes speeds. He'll work the ball left and right, and he'll go north and south on you at times, too. I think that's some of the things people don't recognize. He's not a big strikeout guy. He's got 14, I know, in 15 innings. Typically a lot of off-speed stuff. 140 appearances the last 2 years. I think that 130 the last couple of years with the Phillies out of the bullpen. He has started some ball games in his big league career. Made it quickly to the big leagues. 99 with the Kansas City Royals. He's traveled over to Cleveland, Arizona Diamondbacks for 7 ball games, and then to Detroit, and has found a very comfortable home here in Philadelphia the last couple of years.
He starts out with 2 misfires. It's 2-0 on Eric Young Jr. He'll probably be taken all the way here. He is 2-1. Got a string of 13 straight scoreless appearances. 3-1.
Yeah, his career against Colorado, he's 1-0. Covering 6 games, 4 earned runs and 6 2/3 innings. At Coors Field, a 736 earned run average. 3 earned runs and 3 2/3.
Late sink, and it's 3-2. Their bullpen It's been terrific, especially in May. And this is deep in the hole. The throw by Valdez out at first on a bang play. And here comes Jim Tracy to cheer on the kid Corey Blazer. You got a little early season frustration from Jim Tracy. He's already been tossed. And now the veteran umpire, Brian O'Nora moving in, trying to protect the young umpire, Corey Blazer, who's working because it is a doubleheader. Jerry Crawford would normally be at first base. Wilson Valdez, to his credit, got rid of it quickly. So for the first time this year, Jim Tracy is ejected.
And he's got a right to be. You got speed, you got a leadoff man, you're in a tied game. I mean, you've got a right to be upset on this. EY beats it, but it's by about a half a step. Hey, it's a great play. A great play. But, you look at it speed up, it looks like EY's past the bag. But the guy wearing the black's got the last call. And maybe he was out. I tell you, slow it down. Of course, umpires don't have that privilege of being able to slow things down and take a look at it. EY thought he'd beat it out.
EY's a young player. He's not going to turn and argue. He's going to get off the field.
Well, plus he recognizes, too, he's not going to argue because he's a young player, but he's also recognizing how short this bench is. And then, let my manager do the work for me.
Brad Hopp can make it all academic. Just hit one about 450. It's the second ejection for Jim Tracy in a Rockies uniform. Last July 28th, he was thrown out. 2-0 on Hopp. Todd Helton on deck. Bang play. But again, give Wilson Valdez a lot of credit.
Great play.
He knew he had to get rid of it in a hurry. Huge foul. And I guess our scoreboard operator refuses to put the out up. It's not over till we say it's over.
Yeah, you're in our ballpark, okay? We'll take the balls and we'll just go home.
Hopp pulls it to first, and that'll be the second out. So Helton, 2 outs in the 9th inning. We'll face Chad Durbin. Chase Utley, I'm watching him at second base, and whenever there's a left-handed hitter up, unless it's an Eric Young, he plays on the outfield grass, almost like guys used to do on the old turf. Now, you'll see that with the extreme power hitters, like a Ryan Howard, Brad Hopp. Helton, obviously, throughout his career has been a power hitter, but every left-handed bat, save the Flyers, he gives himself an extra couple of steps of range.
Well, that's what Ozzie Smith used to do on the turf an awful lot at St. Louis. He would play very deep. That allowed him to get to some balls and allow to cut off angles on ground balls. Normally, he would not be able to get to if he's in the dirt area. Just a head-up, smart play. The first base coach for the Phillies, Davey Lopes, a former second baseman, did a lot of that when he played for the Dodgers.
3-0, and that's in there 3-1. So with Jim Tracy being ejected, Tommy Runnels will run the ball club. There's TR.
Well, like a lot of managers, they either go down in the tunnel and relay it back and forth, or they go up and watch on TV and run back and forth. Or some guys say, hey, it's your ball game. Go run it.
Yeah, Clint Hurdle used to do that when Jamie Quirk was his bench coach. He went up, he had total trust in Quirk. And I know that there's a close bond and a lot of mutual respect, Jim Tracy and Tommy Runnels. So with Helton at first, here's Ian Stewart. Stewart is 1 for 4 in the ball game. Rockies have left 11 runners on, 7 in scoring position. And this gets away. Helton's not going to try to move up, though. Tell you what, Paul Hoover, George, I know a lot of games in the minor leagues. He's 30 plus. all of a sudden in the middle of the game he's asked to catch because Ruiz got hurt. And he's had a number of balls in the dirt. He's done a good job.
He's had a great job. Well, like, you know, you get a guy that's 33, 34 years old, that's been around a while, that, you know, typically they're a backup guy. They're a good catch and throw guy. They can handle the baseball behind the plate. Just put that stick in their hands and then they don't have a lot of fun.
1-1. He's been like a vacuum back there, George. Hoover. Back.
Oh, boy. Dougie, you're not giggling.
Dougie doesn't get it yet.
Give him a minute.
That misses 2-1. Outfield extremely deep with 2 outs and a runner at first and help. Stewart leads the club with 6 home runs. Fouled off. You know, if you're at home wondering, boy, do you run for help? But you don't do it with 2 outs.
Who are you going to run?
Well, you'd run Greg Smith probably.
You know, if he gets to second, maybe. You can't do it right now.
Well, here's the good news. Now it's full, so Helton will have the bonus of being on the move with the pitch if Stewart's to hit a gap. 3-3 in the bottom of the 9th. The Rockies have out-hit the Phillies 11-10.
And the Phillies do things a little differently. Howard hung in until right at the last second. Chases a high fastball. Stewart's disgusted. The Rockies going to extra.
Doubleheader and extra frames in game. January-like day on May the 12th. 3-3 ball game, and we're going extra innings. And extra innings are presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. All season long, Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. 4, 5, and 6 in the 10th inning for the Philadelphia Phillies. It'll be Ryan Howard leading off. That means Joe Beimel will stick around. He got the final out of the 9th inning. You got Chase Utley on 1 pitch to fly to right, and he'll probably have this whole inning because you have Howard, Worth from the right side naturally, and then Ibanez, another lefty. And coming in, Beimel has faced as many righties this year as lefties. Phillies are 2-1 in extra innings. The Rockies are 2-2. This game was started by Roy Halladay for the Phils, Aaron Cook for the Rockies. Rockies got 10 hits, 3 runs off of Halladay. Breaking ball for a strike on Howard. Rockies have 3 infielders on the right side. Barmes, Young, and Helton. Another curveball, 1-1. Two balls and a strike.
You see the numbers against Beimel. He's got a home run, a couple of strikeouts, 364 overall average.
Which I hope continues as Howard's mediocrity here at Coors Field. For such a great hitter, he's never gone off at Coors Field. Here's the 2-1, and that's a base hit toward the gap in right center field. And Howard is going to stop at first. So the go-ahead run reaches.
Well, Worth is 0 for 6 against Beimel in his career. So that may be a situation where they leave him in to face Mr. Worth. Here's the pitch. Sliders had missed down and away from him. This time fastball just stayed up in the strike zone. Did not get down where Beimel wanted it. Allowed the big fella to extend his arms a little bit.
George, you had stepped out for a moment. I speculated that Beimel had the first 3 hitters of the inning. Betancourt is ready to go in the bullpen because you have Ibanez next. And Beimel's faced a ton of righties this year. He's done a good job.
He's very good at that throughout his career. Right-handers have not hit much against Joe Beimel.
Worth had an RBI double in the 4th. He also reached when he was hit by a pitch in the 5th. He doesn't ground into many double plays. 0-2. This could be one. There's one, and not this time. He runs too well. So Worth trades places with Howard.
Well, you got a big guy bearing down on you if you're EY Jr. Short hop, nice play by Stewart. Quick flip over. Now he's got to turn it. Just doesn't get it out of the glove quick enough, and Worth with those long strides is able to get over in a position at first base where he's safe. A couple of stolen bases for Worth this year. He's been caught 1 time. Left hand on the mound. That helps kind of hold things up at first base. And Joe Beimel facing the left-hander Ibanez. Ibanez 2 for 6 in his career versus Beimel.
This could be 2. There's 1. What a pick at first by Helton. What a play by Barmes. He got handcuffed by that toss, grabbed it with his bare hand, and made the throw to first. Double play.
And he made it look like, hey, we practiced this all week long. You kidding me? Why y'all get so excited about something? Holy mackerel, Clint Barmes, bare hand snapped the pick by Helton.
And let's look again at this double play. And Barmes was going to get the baseball, and then he had to catch it with his bare hand, wrong foots it over to first base, and a nice pick also at first by Helt.
He's on that side of the bag, though, so, I mean, he can't very necessarily, you know what I mean, with the other foot flip around and get the left foot to it and then do all that because he'd gone after the baseball.
High, deep left field. Miguel Olivo has won it.
Oh, how about that? Have a day.
5 for 5 game for Miguel Olivo. Rockies win it 4-3. You talk about busting out of a slump. 2 for 28 coming in. 5 for 5. And a walk-off bomb in the 10th.
How about having this quick? Chad Durbin with the pitch to the plate. Curveball hung up in the strike zone. As soon as he hit it, watch his reaction. You're going to see it on the Hyundai cam. This thing's just flying out of the ballpark. Watch his reaction. He's going to turn, look at the dugout, and say, boys, meet me at home plate. It's over.
Got a hanging hook. The player of the game is brought to you by Granger. For the ones who get it done, Miguel Olivo. Boy, did he ever get it done today. Stan started shaking. A check on camera. First career walk-off for Miguel Olivo. Clint Barmes, you can stop swinging in the on-deck circle. Time to celebrate. Miguel Olivo, a 5 for 5 performance. And remember this victory. Yeah, it only takes the Rockies to 16-17. But on a day that Roy Halladay was opposing them, the Rockies find a way and win it 4-3. And they got one more to go a little bit later on this evening at 6:40. Game 2 of our day-night doubleheader. Well, that's going to be one happy clubhouse for a couple of hours. Rockies win it 10.